Okay, it's 5:15, November 12, 2019. I'm gonna call to order City of Kennedy's City Council's Carrizo Water Workshop. Okay, let's have it.
Mayor, City Council, City staff, thank you all for having us here today. I want to give you a little brief history of what we've been doing on this particular issue. We call it Well 17 because we started on the south side of the county. A couple of years ago, we leased some properties and we drilled some test wells. CAVE took us down there and we drilled a well basically, and it didn't really turn out to be very good at all. And so, the city has been trying to do this as inexpensively as possible. We weren't able to work that out down in the south end of the county, so we moved to the Carrizo Aquifer, which is in Wilson County. And let's see, about a year ago, we leased some water rights out there, and right now you have a minimal payment that you're making on that yearly payment. I don't know if you want me to talk about all those numbers or not. Adolfo, or do we talk about numbers here, or we just?
I guess just the general right now.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Because we talk numbers and everybody's getting bored.
Okay. So we leased water rights there, and we're going to be able to drill up to 3 wells on that property. It's adjacent to the Union Pacific Railroad abandoned right-of-way. It starts right at the property. It comes all the way through Karn City, through Kenedy, and stops at the south end of town, where we have about maybe another half mile of easement to acquire to get the pipe to the treatment plant. So at this point, we're negotiating. We have negotiated. Well, let me back up. All this year, we have negotiated with the Union Pacific Railroad and have come up with a contract to purchase. And so along that railroad, it's about 25 miles long. Along that railroad, there's been about 30 acres that have been sold. There's some up at Falls City, some in Karn City. There's one tract of land here in Kenedy. So those properties will also have to be acquired to be able to make it contiguous. The city is going to own the property, so you'll be able to not only sell water to other people, but sell easements if you like. It just opens up a lot for y'all. And then negotiating with the Union Pacific, they have given me some information that basically they have about 100 easements, permits, and license agreements. So there's already a little income on this property, I believe. With the license agreement, that's what that is. That, somebody's paying them to be on there. And so we're going to have about 100 of them to assess, to locate, assess, and give you a report on those as well. So there's a little bit of work to do still, a lot of work. We have 2 survey companies that are going to be surveying. I can let David wants to talk on that. We can sure do that. We'll have to do an environmental site assessment, phase 1, just to make sure everything is clear. I know we have a San Antonio River crossing there, and it has been a railroad, so we don't know what's been on there. We'll have to do a little clearing on it at the very beginning, so we can get through. Some of the parts we're not able to get through it. So we'll have to clear, I believe, some of it. Did we put that on there? Yes. I'm blowing through this pretty fast. You want to ask me any questions, or?
We're gonna start doing the work before we get started. We're gonna have 2 crews. One starts on one side, one starts on the other, and then you meet in the middle.
Survey crews.
Survey crews, yes.
And during the same time when we acquire the other properties, we'll have to pull one off to go survey that as well.
And the test stuff that you're talking about doing,
Yes, sir.
where's that at? Is that on the
On the railroad itself?
railroad
all the
line
way,
itself?
The whole line.
Okay.
I believe ESA 1, David, can you talk to that, about that?
Yeah,
We as a city want to have an environmental site assessment done so that we know what we're buying. So this is part of the feasibility that occurs between the time you approve the contract for sale and up until you actually close and own the property. So we have a 6-month period for doing things just like this. So we'll do an environmental site assessment, and railroads are notorious for throwing spikes and stuff like that. They get covered up, they're in the ground. You know, we want to be able to describe for you what the risk is to owning property that's been treated that way. And it has been treated that way, more than likely. So that's one of the things we need to do is get a report for you so you understand what the risk is, if there is any, how bad it is, whether we care, you know. So if we need to, then we can move on to a phase 2 and a phase 3. A phase 2 would be, let's see what the extents are, if there's something worth looking at. And a phase 3 would be, if the extents are bad enough, well then let's go fix it before it gets worse. So for right now, we're thinking a phase 1, maybe a phase 2, probably not a phase 3. Because typical railroad, we kind of know what to expect. Okay, so we're just looking to see how bad it might be. But that's essentially what an environmental site assessment.
And that's just kind of letters being sent to all the agencies to make sure there's no notice
We do
violations.
background research through records and everything else like that. A lot of that stuff is contained in records in Austin. So we ask them to look it up, send it to us, and then we call that for information. And then in a phase 2, you actually go to specific spots and look for evidence of anything that looks unusual on paper. Any questions about ESAs? I mean, that's a pretty quick description.
So at this point today, we want to get the contract approved so we can put the earnest money down and get the title company to continue doing their title policy, to work on it, because you're going to get a title policy, title insurance. And at that same time during this period, then we do all the surveying, the ESA, and acquiring the other properties and all the other.
How many other properties did you say you got to?
I believe there are 7. I believe there's 5 of them up there in Fall City, and that's about 30 acres. That's the biggest piece up there. In Karn City, the jail has encroached a little bit on it, but the property that the railroad owns has they maintained the rights to put easements and all that there in case there's an issue. So we just need to go inspect it, look at it. So there's about 7. Then one in Kenedy, I think the city of Kenedy owns it. So that's not going to be an issue.
As far as the jail encroaching onto that property, is that going to be an obstruction that we can't go around it?
I don't think so, because the railroad at that point is 200 feet wide, and it's my understanding, and I have not read the meets and bounds or put it on a map, but I think it's only 50 feet in the railroad. So we have another 150 feet there.
So we can go around it?
Yes, we can go around. So some of the right of way that you're buying is going to be 90 feet, some will be 80, some will be 150, some will be 200. Through the cities are usually 200 feet wide.
Council, real good, excuse me, real good summary is Wet Rockets, real good summary of the project in your packet, item 16. And the resolution itself has a summary of the story behind the project. If there's any other questions?
Like you said, the right of ways, everything will belong to the city of Kenedy once everything gets purchased first.
Yes, sir.
You guys have any other questions?
So if Union Pacific decided later on in the future sometime they want to lay the lines back down, come to Kenedy.
They don't own the property.
They don't own the property, right?
No.
Okay, they have to do it.
They'd have to buy it back from you, but, at that point, it's not gonna happen. You'll own it fee simple. The only thing they retain is the mineral rights. They won't convey minerals.
When it's all connected, that's it for the RO, correct?
That's it? Well, yeah, once it's all
It's
connected,
all
I mean,
connected and we're running off the,
right, that's right.
RO's
Yeah,
done.
that's the whole purpose, to get off that RO system. It's my understanding it's kind of expensive to run.
Bobby, you got anything to add?
Not as far as the right-of-way. If there's any questions regarding the
Thanks,
water
Renee.
supply, the wells, the plan, that would be more my end of it, but I don't have anything to add as far as the right-of-way goes.
Steve?
Water's good water.
It's good water, it won't need any treatment. At worst, you would need to add some chemicals, so to sequester iron, which is a simple process, but we don't believe you would need to do that based on wells in the area. But other than that, you just have to chlorinate it and cool it.
So with the landowners that, where we're placing the wells at, was that a 3-year term before we started producing off of it?
I
or
believe
was it
it's 5 years, yeah, so we're about a year in, so you'll start paying the full amount at year 5, so it's in your best interest to have everything set up before then. So we got 4 years. And it'll take, as I put in that summary, you know, approximately a year for design, bidding, getting contractors, and then probably another 18 months or more for construction. The wells won't take that long. You won't complete 3 wells up front, 2 wells only up front. The third is when you need it sometime in the future, which would be a long time. So construction and design, you're looking over 2.5 years. There's always delays, so I would call it about 3 years. You should get started on that. So we're in year 1. Within the next year, I would recommend you start, get the design, bidding, contracting, all that going.
So the third well is just for, the 2 wells would work tandem, and then the third well would be if well 1 or 2 stops producing.
Yeah, honestly, you could probably run them off each well can produce at 1,500 gallons a minute. So the total of the 2, there'll be 3,000 gallon a minute wells, which is more capacity right now than you would use. So they would be cycling.
So
Pumping a couple hours, next one pumps a couple hours, just to keep them both in use. The third well is if the city grows more and you need that additional well.
Are y'all gonna go ahead and build and dig for that third well now, or y'all gonna wait later? Is that gonna be in a different bid amount later, or is it gonna be
Yeah,
included?
I would suspect you wouldn't need the third well for over 10 years or more.
Okay.
So no, nothing, it's just the site is set, it's there when you need it, and you can drill it at a later point in time. But I wouldn't recommend you drilling 3 wells at this time, because you just wouldn't be, you need to use these wells
Right.
when they're in, and so 3 wells, you wouldn't be pumping them but a couple hours a day each.
Okay.
So much are we pumping now?
In the summertime, so I don't know the exact numbers, I had them written down, but I believe your total capacity, your population is, your connections are 2,900, about 3,000 connections. So for TCQ rules, you need 0.6 gallon per minute per connection. So that would be a little over, 1,700 gallons a minute is what you need. Yeah, 1,800. And you would have the ability to have 3,000 gallons a minute production capacity with these 2 wells. And they can run, they'll be able to run, if you would need them, all day. That's sustainable. Not that you would need the water to do that. Right now, the city's wells in the summertime, they're running, 24 hours in the summer. Water level goes down, and then the pumping capacity goes down, and that's where you all have had your issues with capacity. You won't have that issue with these wells.
And with this new water source, this will be able to lift us out of stage 3 water restrictions, correct?
Yep, yeah, for city imposed. Now, the Evergreen Water District does have cutbacks during drought, which all permittees would have to follow, so you would have to follow those, but not the city restrict. You wouldn't be restricted by your own capacity ability to provide.
the life expectancy of this new water?
Generally, for a well, we put a 35-year expectancy on wells. A lot of them last longer than that, but that would be a good general number, it's 35 years. You would have the ability to, if they ever fail, to drill another well next to it. Your permit allows you to do that. But from a cost standpoint, 35 years I would use as expectancy.
And you had mentioned cooling, we have to cool the water, correct?
Yes.
You have cooling towers, how far down the line would they?
I think David's going to handle that. The plant is going to be at the well number one of the well sites. So there'll be towers, chlorinators, all of that, storage next to one of the wells on the property. There's a 5-acre piece of land that is part of the contract with the landowner as part of the wells to place your water plant.
Any other questions for Kaveh?
Thank you.
Thank you. Dave, anything else?
Well, let me talk about the engineering side of things for a minute. Obviously, the problem with wells at the south end of town is that we're not able to get enough capacity out of them. Last time we drilled didn't work, so we're looking north. And the quality of the water that we get from south, it's got salt in it, it's got arsenic in it, we're paying to get all that removed. And it's expensive to do that. The thought was that if we could quit paying for that sort of treatment and instead put that money into a new system, it would not work. And it turns out that it pays for itself. So the money you're paying right now essentially goes toward this system, even money. So we're not really going to ever ask you to come up with more money. I mean, obviously there's inflation that's involved, but it basically pays for the project by turning off the stuff that we're doing today for the water that's not as good quality down south. So that's the driver behind this, and it sure makes sense, and it's good for the community when you have situations like that. Okay, so that's the main premise for what we're doing here. So we've gone and we've gotten a water rights contract, and we've got the water locked up for, I don't know how many years it is, 20, 30 years. But then also, we've got this railroad right-of-way that allows us to get the water on city property where we can control it all the way into town. So it's really a good situation for the city to set it up like this. And so we'll put whatever, we're expecting to put the treatment plant up there near the well site. It could go anywhere, honestly, but it might make more sense for it to go up at the north end, which means somebody's going to be driving 20 miles to take care of it. But it might make more sense to get it that way. And then we'll design the system to get it under the San Antonio River, and then up over the hill there in Carnes, and then down to Kenedy here. And I think land is in your favor, the lay of the land, so that it'll actually fill the tanks once it gets over the top of the hill there in Carnes, up there at the water treatment plant. So everything seems to be in y'all's favor. I can't believe it. It's a really great situation. And then beyond that, by owning the land, some of the things you can do, you can use that land for other purposes if you want to. So you have options to perhaps make yourself some more money along the way if the situation ever arose. So it's nice that you're buying it. It's amazing that the UP was cooperative and it's happened this fast. 9 months doesn't seem like fast, but to me it's real fast. So a lot of good stuff going on, a lot of things in your favor. I've never run across a situation that's nice. So, any questions?
Let's talk about the time, David.
Okay.
We heard from Kaveh, but I want to hear from the engineer's point. How much time?
Well,
We don't want to drag it out.
no, I know. And you've got a 6-month feasibility period. So there's 2 things you need to do. You get the SA, which I mentioned. You also need to get the survey done. So we want to get the boundary survey work done. There's 2 kinds of surveying. One's a boundary where we actually look at who's going to own what and set those pins, make sure that the city has confidence that what they're buying is found on the ground. You know what it looks like, you know where it is. And so we'll have 6 months to get the boundary work done. In the meantime, we can also do topography for engineering survey. So we know exactly what the land's doing, we know what the obstacles are, if there's fences or structures or anything like that, we can work through all of that before we actually buy the property. So what you're doing is you're agreeing to buy the property, but you're not actually buying the property for 6 months. So we have time to do that. In the meantime, too, we can start to work on the engineering drawings and things like that, the design. And we should start in hurry, because we do have that 5-year window, and we don't want to miss that window. We want to be up and operational before we actually have to start paying for water that we might not even take. So we will make that payment. It'd be nice if we could get water in return. So that's kind of the object here, is to get it in, get it going, and pay for water that we're actually using. So, and then get the other plant offline so that we can use that money to make the payment on the note. So we will sell bonds at some point. What kind of bonds is up to the financial guys. But that's what we're looking at, is setting that up. So we need to do enough work to get our numbers set, confident that we can make this work for the money that we have available, and then get it done. So the engineering time probably is about a year. I'm thinking that we're going to split up the work into 4 or 5 contracts and get specialty contractors to do specialty work. It's a lot like the way we've done the sports complex, where we've got the underground guys separate from the building guys, separate from the ball field guys, separate from the electrical guys. So we're doing everything by setting it up, breaking it up that way. We get really great prices from specialty contractors. It's in your favor. So we'll do the same thing. We'll get people that do treatment, we'll get people that do wells, we'll get people that do pipes, and we may break the pipe into 3 or 4 pieces, just to make sure we get plenty of manpower out there to get it done quickly. That way weather delays don't bother us. We just have more people out there working. So I think this is a project that could probably get finished in 2 to 3 years. 2 years is probably the minimum. 3 years is probably on the outside. So we're already a year into it, which puts us at about the 4-year window. But that's kind of where I see it today. It's a good job. It's a good job.
When that's complete, everything's said and done, we're getting out of there, what are we gonna do with what's gonna happen with the wells in the south end that we're currently using?
We can just abandon those. If we need to cap them off, what you typically do is you go down 20 feet, you cut them off, and you just fill back dirt, take the fences down, walk away from them.
I would just cap them. Just cap them. You can leave them. They're emergency wells if you ever need them in the future. And that's going to be your best bet. Just put a cap on them.
Those are decisions that don't need to be made tonight.
Okay, say it one more time, Dave, about the 2.3 million we're spending on that RO every year. That'll pay for what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, if you look at what we got in pricing for the sports complex, we're paying just under $500,000 a year for those bonds, $7.5 million. If we could take, say, 2.5 million, that's 5 of those. So 5 times 7.5 is about 37.5 million. That's the money that we would free up to do this project if we needed all that. So I think we can get it done for less than that. And I'm thinking that's good for everybody. And after 20 years of paying bonds, that credit goes away. And Kenedy is better off for it, by far. So this is,
Some opportunity.
the stars are aligned, guys. I mean, I don't know how to say it any better than that.
That's a good way to say it. Good way to say it.
Any other questions for David?
David, by the way, that's a perpetual lease.
Perpetual? So we got the water rights for as long as we want. And there's probably more good to come, we just don't know it yet.
Oh, yeah, there is.
But that's really great water. And like Kaveh said, we don't need to treat it. I've seen some samples that don't even talk about having to remove iron. I mean,
Wow.
it just depends on what we get when we drill right there. We won't know until we do.
Hello, everybody.
They're running that water 25
Okay, don't
miles.
speak.
I know we're talking about cooling.
Ground's been cool.
Well, yeah, That's what I guess I was gonna ask.
That's what's coming
25
out.
miles underground's a long way.
Yeah, so that's in your favor too. I mean, it's just everything about this is working.
So it won't need a whole lot of cooling.
No, it won't be much at all. We may have to cool it just to protect the pipe. How about that? That's one of those things we need to work through.
Is everybody excited about working on this?
Yep.
Does anybody have any doubts about this project? I'm gonna say that was a no.
I'm having a hard time to find something bad.
I've searched, I've searched high and low.
I'm glad you looked hard.
Well, we've been looking at it for a while. I mean, I haven't really been given the green light to get going. I mean, the real estate guys, the water guys, they've done their due diligence. We're just getting started, and I see a lot of good things.
Awesome. You guys have anything else for anybody? No? Kaveh, Renee, you guys have anything else? Steve?
Just looking forward to working on it.
I can't understate this enough. 20 years from now, y'all be glad you did this.
You guys have any questions for anybody? Awesome. Okay, if there's no other questions, we're gonna close the workshop. Any other
Thank you.
You're
questions?
welcome.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
I think there's two of them.
Okay, November 12th, 2019, 6 p.m. I call to order the City of Kennedy City Council regular council meeting. A quorum is present. Amanda, would you call the roll?
Counselor Briones?
Present.
Counselor Wynn?
Here.
Counselor Sines? Here. Counselor Kano?
Here.
Counselor Meyer?
Here.
All are present.
Councilwoman, would you set the prayer, please?
Oh, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we ask that you would be here with us and allow us to have conversations and talk about things that's going to be for the betterment of this community, and come to a conclusion and a resolution that's best for everyone. We ask all this in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And does anybody sign up for citizen comment?
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak under citizen comment that didn't have the opportunity to sign up for citizen comment? Going once?
I would like to just tell you guys thank you for your efforts, for what you're doing. I appreciate it very much, more than you know.
Thanks, Tina, we appreciate it. Anyone else? No, can you come more often? Okay, if there's no one else, we're moving on. Hey, do you guys mind if we move to number 9 and number 10 prior to consent agenda?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, item number 9, presentation of scholarship awards. Presentation?
We have 3 applicants for our 2019 scholarship, and I believe the 3 applicants are here. We have Destiny Ochoa. Yes, if you want to come up here.
She's on her way.
Okay. Jerica Rosilli. And then we have Crystal Tam.
No Crystal Tam?
She's not here?
I think she's at A now.
Yeah, oh, so she can't be. So these are the 3 applicants y'all had for our 2019 graduates from Kenedy High School.
Ladies, thanks for applying, but more importantly, thanks for being productive citizens of the community.
Amen.
Thanks for going to college.
You did good.
You may not realize it right this second, but it's super important.
Yes, it is.
It's gonna get hard, it's gonna get tough, just keep doing it. No matter how hard it is, just keep doing it. It'll pay off.
We're very proud of you
Yes,
and what you've accomplished so
congratulations.
far.
So here are y'all's $1,000 checks, Jerica and Destiny. And if y'all await the council, the mayor will take a picture with y'all.
You guys want to come on this
Okay,
side?
awesome, let's do it.
You guys up front, y'all do the work.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Yeah, if I can just scoot it a little bit. One, two, three. Let me get one more. One, two, three. Okay.
Good job, guys.
Good job, girls. Thanks again. Item number 10, consideration and possible action in regard to a proclamation honoring Detective Corporal Felix Casanova for 18 years of service and dedication to the Kenedy Police Department and City of Kennedy. Movement.
Make a motion, we discuss item number 10.
Second. Presentation.
We're really proud of Felix. He's done a lot of good. He's done a lot of work for the city. Would you like to read the proclamation, Mayor?
I hope I can.
He's decided it's time for him to move on, and unfortunately, the chief forgot to tell him to be here tonight.
Well, my plan was to present this to him at his retirement party.
Gotcha. Say the reason I said that I hope I can is it's small, and
You want me to-
unfortunately I can't.
You want me to read
It's
it?
too small. Matt always prints my stuff larger.
I'll read it. With your permission, Mayor.
Yes, sir, please.
Whereas the city council, city staff, and city employees are honored to recognize Detective Corporal Felix Casanova on this occasion of expressing our appreciation to the citizens of Kenedy. And whereas Detective Corporal Felix Casanova joined the City of Kennedy Police Department on August 28, 2001, and served the citizens of Kennedy for 18 years. And whereas the City of Kennedy is fortunate that Corporal Casanova was willing to dedicate his time to the safety and well-being of our citizens, and we thank him for the many sacrifices he has made to assure the peace and tranquility of our community. And whereas it is an honor to recognize Corporal Felix Casanova for his hard work and many contributions to the City of Kennedy. Now therefore, I, James D. Sutton, Mayor of the City of Kennedy, Texas, do hereby recognize Detective Corporal Felix Casanova, badge 636, for his service and dedication to the City of Kennedy, and I encourage all citizens to join with the men and women of the City of Kennedy Police Department in recognizing Detective Corporal Felix Casanova for his outstanding service and invaluable contributions to the City of Kennedy and the field of law enforcement. I further urge all citizens to extend their very best wishes to him and his family, and the best of luck in the future. In testimony whereof I witness my hand and seal of the City of and the seal of the City of Kennedy, Texas, this 12th day of November, 2019. It will be signed James D. Sutton, Mayor.
His retirement is December 2nd. We'll have his party here at City Hall, in his big room. I think it's 1500, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Everybody, public's welcome.
Okay.
So-
Thank you.
And we'll have this put on also a plaque and then give it to him at his retirement.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we saw that.
Oh, okay.
I caught it when I was reading.
Good night, Brenda. Okay, no other discussion? Call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Kano?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Thank you, guys. Going back to item number 8, consider act on consent agenda. Is there anything you guys want to pull out of there?
I'd like to pull item M, water and wastewater report.
And I'd like to pull item A, Police Department report.
Anything else? Okay. I want to visit on C, city council minutes. All right, let's have it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Item M, or who is?
Okay, go ahead, Brandon.
Okay, no, I just want to touch base, somebody from the water department here?
No, sir.
No?
They're not here tonight.
Okay, well, Mr. Brown, I just want to let you know that these water department guys have been working extremely hard. I'm very proud of them. They are out there all hours of the night doing great work. Lots of people have been asking about their water and been telling them to just be patient. They're understanding exactly what's going on now. You just got to explain to them. What is the main purpose that, from your understanding, that is causing all this havoc with the pipes breaking?
They're antiques. That's about the only way to say it. Most of the breaks, most of the problems we're having are in old cast iron pipes that have been in the ground for 20 or 25 years and are past their life expectancy at this point. And so any disturbance to the ground is causing them to rupture and to break. And so we're looking at how do we replace as many as we can on the budget that we have. We patch where we can, but some that are really bad, we're going to have to replace before we're done. You notice, I think they fixed 47 leaks in the last 30 days or so. We're seeing ground movement. We got a little rain, so the ground starts shifting back to where it was, and that stress on the pipe, along with we've equalized the pressure citywide now, has caused some of those faults and weak spots to finally blow out.
I did see that they were posting on the website about the water. If you guys just can kind of continue to do that, because people were asking, what's going on, they didn't know. But if you guys would just continue to post that the water's going to be out, that kind of is helpful.
And I've asked them if they're working in our business district somewhere, before they shut it off, to go notify the major businesses and let them know that we're going to have to shut you down, we've got a leak. Some of the system is so old, they cannot isolate the leak because they can't find the valves anymore. Nobody ever made a record of where they put the valves in. And so we're having to deal with some of those issues as well and go in and find. I think you got some pictures of some of the leaks and some of the breaks that they've been working on. And they're extremely diligent in trying to replace sections of pipe where we can replace sections and get the old cast iron out of the ground. Where we can't do that, then they're patching the pipe as best we can.
Sorry to get your putting pictures, but go on to this one. That right there is sure laziness. That's $300-400 clamps within half an inch of each other.
Yeah.
They should have changed that a long time ago.
And that, part of what they're finding is they're going back and finding Band-Aids that were put on a long time ago. And so the question becomes, do we have enough to dig it up right now, or is it too important to go ahead and patch it again for the time being and plan to replace it in the near future?
Is this all over town, or is this?
All over
what I'm
town.
looking at is all over town?
All over town.
So as the season progresses, we can expect more of this.
Yes,
And more water loss. I mean, I saw we have over 2 million.
yes. Part of that 2 million, we had a leak at the prison on their side of the meter, and they didn't know it for about 2 days, and we probably lost close to 200 gallons a minute for almost 2 days before they figured out where the leak was. And it was going, which is bad for our treatment facility, because that was already treated water that was going right down into the sewer system and right back to the water treatment facility. But we did finally get that isolated and get that repaired. Our guys had to go out and help the prison do that. But in the long run,
What is all this in that thing?
that is, the pipe is so old that that's buildup over the years that cuts down on the amount of volume that can flow through that pipe. That is.
You're also drinking that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. It's some of that is iron, some of that is just sediment built up over the years. And that was, again, we're finding that could be part of our pressure issue throughout the system. If we've got pipes that aren't letting the amount of water go through the gate.
So now that you guys are laying that new pipe, you guys are putting in where you're putting, you're
PVC.
mapping out and
Right.
everything that you're putting down,
Right.
so we know now.
Yeah, they're
All
knowing
on
where the cutoffs are, they're
Yeah, that
knowing
new
where the
system.
valves are, replacing the valves that are worn completely out, that don't function properly. The one section of pipe that you saw pictures of that was the blue pipe that was just shattered. We've talked to several contractors, they have never seen that happen before, have no idea. Our guess is we just got a faulty piece of pipe at some point that went in the ground. It literally just ruptured completely a 20-foot section. Yes.
Do you guys remember there was a stack of short pipe in the yard on School Street year after year after year, and it sat in the sun? Sun will deteriorate pipe, plastic pipe. You put it in the ground after it's been sitting in the sun, that's what causes that.
And so all of the pipe is now stored indoors, out of the sun.
And we got rid of all that short pipe. The way what it used to be done was if they had a leak, they would just cut in, if it was 2 feet, they'd cut in 2 feet of pipe. Well, the joints are 20. So Hector and Alon came up with, hey, let's locate 60 feet. We'll find the leak, and we're gonna replace a minimum of 20 feet. So that's how they do it now. So there's no more short little pieces. They're putting in at least 20. Yes, from time to time, we have to clamp things, but we're trying to stay as far away from clamps as we can. And we're at, I'm gonna say between 18 and 20,000 linear feet of pipe replacement in a year and a half.
We've got 3 miles to go.
And even if somebody handed the city $100 million right this minute, time, we can't do it in a year. It takes time to do these things. This is 20-plus years of neglect. So if we put in 20,000 feet every year, or 15,000 feet a year, we're doing good. We're doing really, really good. And we're, like I said, between 18 and 20. A lot of people want to know why are the guys just sitting there watching the water leak? Well, legally, they can't begin digging until they've given located a minimum of 2 hours to show up. But they can shut the water off. So they're looking for valves, but I don't know if you guys understand how they have to find valves here. They have to get Juan out of bed. Because Juan is the only guy here that knows where all the valves are. But Juan doesn't know where all the valves are because some of them are paved over. There was nothing to indicate, here's a valve. So we're hunting and we're shopping. I know everybody makes fun, but I have helped them look for valves. Because it takes, if we're losing 200 gallons a minute, sometimes it takes everybody that we have. Let's find valves and turn them all off until we get the results. We wish we could knock on everybody's door and say, I'm sorry, we're gonna turn your water off. Sometimes it's 2 in the morning. You're not gonna get out of bed happy that we're, banging on your door, and we're not gonna get that water turned off any sooner. So we try to isolate the problem. We call locates. We give them their 2 hours. They don't show up in the 2 hours, or if they do, we still have to follow that law, and it says 2 hours. Then we begin digging very cautiously, and we work on the leak. I wish it was a better system, but that's the system that we use.
Just to reiterate what the mayor said, when we did the repair on 5th Street, we not only had to do a locate, we had to get permission from TxDOT to cut across their street. And when we cut open that street, we found a valve that was buried under 3 inches of pavement. And so the guys, when they found it, were able to move it out of the roadway while we had it all open and were able to replace it and make it accessible to us again. They had no clue that was there, and it'd been paved at least twice, since the valve was put in.
And you're right, these guys are great. They are working, and they're doing a whole bunch of work. So it's our job to make sure that the money's available where we can continue changing pipe each and every week.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, mine's on K, police department report.
Chief is here.
It was brought to my attention that we are missing an AR-15 ammo and a vest. Have we recovered that?
Almost all of it. We're still missing one piece of the AR-15, the rest of it we have recovered.
One piece, what do you mean one piece?
Well, it comes in an upper receiver, lower receiver, barrels. We've recovered all the receiver pieces. And we did not get the ammo back. It's generic, we'll never find it, but we did recover the vest and some of the other items.
Was that an arrest made?
No.
They just showed up, or?
I don't think I'm saying too much. I think we have made an identification of who did this. It's just a matter of crossing the T's and dotting the I's before we can take them forward.
Did we get the part with the serial number on it?
No, the lower receiver is the problem. So,
That's the dangerous part, right?
and that is the part that's in the National Crime Information Computer Discovery.
Have we reached out to anybody to help us locate that?
Of course,
Who did we reach out to?
I think you talked to the Rangers.
sheriff's office,
Sheriff's
it's in the,
office.
it's listed.
Can we explain how that happened? How did we end up with a gun? I mean, because we're trying to put police officers in the school district, and at the same time, we're not securing our weapons. I just don't understand how a firearm.
That was a violation of policy, a direct violation of policy, and that as a personnel issue has been dealt with. And the officer understands the severity of the situation he placed the city in, and I feel certain that won't happen again. The chief handled that very well.
So that's not standard, they keep it in the vehicle,
Not unlocked.
It has to be in
It
a
is in the
locking
vehicle.
system.
but locked, okay.
We have two policies that directly address that, yes.
So it was not locked.
Correct.
On a more positive note, we had a new school resource officer that's swearing in on November 18th.
Yes.
So I don't know if y'all know Amanda Fanning, but she's going to be the Kenedy ISC City of Kenedy School Resource Officer. She's coming from the county. Very excited for her.
What time is it?
This just has the date because they're going to be in.
1600, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Didn't she used to work for the county?
Yes.
We stole one finally,
Yes.
instead of the other way around.
Well, what is she working for DPS after the county?
Yes. She was working part-time.
She will not go to the school immediately. There's some minimum training she has to do, but she should be in the school in December.
Yeah, no later than first of December. Probably after Thanksgiving break.
I wonder why she left the county.
She wanted to better herself. It was a part-time position with no benefits.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I received a video today. There was a fight inside of our school. Got some parents that are upset. They say they've contacted the police, and the police referred them to the municipal court. I'm trying to figure out if that's true, and if it is true, do we not do old-fashioned police work anymore?
It's news to me.
The mama was gonna be here, but she wasn't on the agenda. But you can bet she'll probably be here next meeting. And I'm just trying to figure out why that is. I mean, they're protected by the same rights that we are.
I'd have to ask the chief to explain that. You want to get back to me on that?
Yeah, I'm aware of it. It was a Class C violation, and we referred to the city court.
We will discuss that further.
I mean, we're doing everything we're supposed to do. We've given the police department everything we want. We can't have our kids, we can't stop them from fighting. We understand that, but we can dang sure step in and do what we're supposed to do, yes.
Stay with the agenda. That's, I just want to bring in
My item was a part of his report.
Yes,
so-
yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna have them start adding all that stuff to the report, then we'll be able to talk about it.
Well, the reports are generally factual items or reports to the council.
My item
To
was-
expand on that.
Yeah.
My item was a
Yeah.
factual item.
Yeah.
It's not on the report.
Mine too.
It's a factual item. It did happen, and it's something that should have been, it's something that we should have been made aware of, and we wasn't. So
If it has any relation to the,
if you're saying that it needs to be on these reports before we can talk about it, then we need to change the structure of the report, because this kind of stuff needs to be addressed.
That's correct. If it's, needs to be addressed by the council, it could be an agenda item. Or later on, I'm just trying to bring in with the parameters of
I understand. I'm just saying, if that's the situation, then the report needs to change so that we can address it, because we should not find out today that this happened. It should have been something we'd already been made aware of. So if that report needs to be changed, make the necessary changes so that that information is being given, so we know what's going on. Because this is not the time for us to find out that.
Anything else on item K? No? I want to visit on item C, city council minutes.
Well, okay, man.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. So, what he brought up, we can't talk about it under the, since it does relate to the police.
It relates to the police, but it's a specific item, more specific. Often said, this is generally a summary of the what has gone on with regard to the school resource officer. That's something that's here, so we could discuss about that. If the item that you wish to talk about is similar, you could just have it could be added to the report.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
If this report doesn't work so that we can, it needs to be changed so that we can, because these are not situations that we're not going to discuss.
Sure. It could be just like the resource officer could be added in.
So maybe we just say there any items of interest that happen within that month could be like a bullet point, kind of like the school resource officer. But I don't know with like the incident at the school today, these reports were turned in Wednesday. That probably wouldn't be able to make it on there.
But the other situation we were talking about, that happened long enough for it to have been reported to us and
Able for us to speak about
able
it.
for us to speak about it.
You can talk about anything you want in here. This is your board, this is your meeting. He can give you his opinion on what you shouldn't talk about, but this is your meeting. You can discuss anything. We come up here and say transparency, but we're only transparent when we want to be transparent. That makes no sense to me. None at all. We get reports of only what they want us to see or what? I mean, anything that happens in this city, that's your business.
Well, that's what I wanted all along. I don't want somebody that's gonna sit there and only tell me what you want me to know. I wanna know everything that's going on. Anything and everything.
And by
Should be made aware of.
By state statute, if it's a bullet point on the report, yeah, sure, you can talk about it. But sometimes, if the report goes out early, or if it's not caught, it could be put on the next agenda.
And that's fine, or even if it doesn't have to go on here, or
Sure.
if we, just make us aware of things that are going on.
Anything else on item K?
No, good.
Okay, item C, city council minutes. I noticed that there's 3 discrepancies in the September minutes. I'm not an expert, I know we all agree with that, but there are discrepancies in the minutes. I don't know if it's because we've fallen behind on the minutes, I really don't know what it is. But if we're not gonna keep accurate minutes, then let's just use these cameras for the reason we put them in here. That way there is an accurate record, instead of disconnecting them. Because we're supposed to record in those minutes what was done by the council, not what was said. Doesn't matter what was said, that's transcript. What needs to be in the minutes is what was done. And I'll give you an example. Justin made the motion to have the city attorney do an investigation. And that's exactly what he said, for the city attorney to do an investigation. But that's not in the transcript, and someone else did that. That's just one example. Then if you go on to, there's another area, and it was about the 3% for a cost of living. But there was more to it. What was actually done was that, it was started by Leslie. Mr. Bratton picked it up. Brenda commented on it. Justin had something else to say on it. And at the end of the deal, Justin specifically asked, is it with the new evaluation form, or is it with the existing one? Which that's very vital, because according to Mr. Bratton, it wasn't going to occur until January of next year. Now, if that's not in there and somebody's not here, I mean, we just wrote in there whatever we wanted to write, and that's not what it was. These guys set a system, they want the system followed, and that's what those minutes are for. And so there's a record of what these guys actually did. And that's, I don't know what we need to do on our end to make sure that the minutes are accurate. If we're jamming her up, if we're talking too fast, if we're talking out of turn, whatever it might be, let us know so we can do it. I just know that those are the most valuable thing that we do here at City Hall, are those minutes.
And can it be recorded?
Yes, sir.
It is being recorded, correct?
When I go to their Facebook pages,
We recorded anyway.
See, a year ago, we installed a camera there and a camera here, okay, and they both pick up audio. And we did that intentionally, because there are a lot of people that want to know stuff. But somewhere in all this, somebody disconnects the Wi-Fi back there. Don't know who and don't know how it ever came to that, but those were put in there for that specific reason. If something goes wrong in here, there is evidence. But it doesn't work like that. So I don't know why. But we're fully capable.
So Chris, we need to make sure those cameras are working and in total working order. Everything is like it should be. That way, if there is a discrepancy on the minutes, somebody can go back and look to see what was actually said. The only time those cameras are not to be working is when we're in closed session. And that should be just a simple button that you press or a switch that you turn to off.
Can you actually hear everything?
Yes,
from video?
very clear.
So you'd be able to,
I'm done on the city council minutes.
So
I just,
if-
whatever we need to do on the city council minutes so we can make sure they're accurate.
Are these motion sensor, or even when there's no motion, it's still recording in the area?
They should record,
the motion sensor.
or
Yes.
So if something's going on in here and something's going on over there, it's not gonna record what's going on in here, it's
It
gonna
will-
pick
it
up
will
that over
record
there.
both of them. And there's a camera here and there's a camera out there.
Yeah, this camera's gonna pick up what's going on here.
And this one behind us shows the audience and everything we say. That one shows us and everything the audience says. They're pretty good.
We'll make sure it's up and running.
And there are some rules on
Yeah.
retaining those, right?
It's, usually they're retained and sometimes put on the website. So, but they're available for the public.
Amanda, do you compare the audio, the video audio compared to your notes, or you just go with what you catch during the?
If I don't, I do sometimes compare. If I need more notes, I'll go with it and I'll take more notes off the video.
I'll take part of the responsibility because I haven't held us to only speaking when we're called upon. So if we need to slow down, you let me know and I'll slow down the talk. I'll slow down the discussion. But we have to have accurate minutes.
On the closed session one, can you, so what I have here is that we went into open session and I put Counselor Justin Meyer made a motion to authorize a formal investigation to be conducted. Counselor Leslie Wynn seconded the motion, all voted in favor, motion passed. What is incorrect?
That is true. But see, he didn't do it. And Justin, that was Justin's motion for the city attorney, which everybody reminds me of who the city attorney is, but everybody else talks to other attorneys. But I'm the only one that can. I have to talk to the city attorney. He gave him, he named the city attorney to do the investigation. The city attorney didn't do the investigation. Another attorney did. It went to another attorney and I told that one, no way, for specific reasons, and he gave it to another one. The city attorney did not do the investigation. That's what the man's motion was. That was his movement. It is true that he ordered a formal investigation. That's true. So,
So if you didn't do the investigation, you handed it off to the next guy to do the investigation, he couldn't do it for certain reasons. What were those reasons? The second one couldn't do it.
The attorney came from our office, in the sense our firm is the city attorney for the city of Kenedy. We designated one attorney so that we can have, understand the issues of the city. The attorney was from Rawson office. And generally, it's better when you do an investigation to have an attorney that's not familiar with the city.
Okay.
So there won't be any biases or anything like that.
Have no connections, don't know anything, just come in, do the
Yeah.
job and get on out.
And they're from our office.
but the city council didn't order that. The city council ordered him to do it. I mean, who's running the city? The attorneys or the city council? That's my point with this. The minutes have to be accurate. You pay these guys to do what you ask them to do, not what they want to do. You pay them for legal opinions, not to run your city.
And if it's going to be something like that, we should be made aware that I'm not going to do the investigation. Our office is going to do the investigation, and these are the reasons why. Because we still have the final say. Am I not correct?
I'm done on the city council minutes. Anything else? Do we want to consider act on the consent agenda?
Do you want to approve the minutes with the recommendations to the minutes? Or
Yeah,
do-
I would really like a little bit more time on the September minutes. I've had a lot going on this last week, and I haven't had time. I wasn't as thorough as I usually am.
So you want to approve all but the minutes?
Yes, please.
All minutes or just this?
Just September.
September.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda minus the September City of Kennedy City Council minutes.
And I'll second that.
Any discussion? If there's no other discussion, call it off.
Counselor Brian,
No, I was gonna say, so you want Amanda to be more thorough in what she puts in here? That's what it is? There's a lot, I'm just saying, because she does a lot during the day. She does a lot of work, and, I mean, little minutes, little things here and there. I understand it do make a difference, but if, like you said, if we need be, we have to tape the other audio with that. Is that reason we should be?
Yeah, no, the minutes, y'all accepted the minutes every single meeting, and we're swearing that they're accurate. That they are recording in those minutes what was done by city council during that meeting. But if we don't read those minutes every month, and we accept them, a year from now, 6 weeks from now, somebody comes in and says, I want the minutes, they read the minutes, and we're not doing what the minutes said in there, guess what? I get the letter. Honorable Mayor James D. Sutton, you are hereby blah, 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 blah. All we had to do is read the minutes. If there's a discrepancy, we correct the minutes. We make sure that they match what was done in the meeting, not what we think and things like that. I don't know if we're being recorded right now. Is the system running right now? It should be? Okay. Yeah, and like I said, if I need to slow people down when we're talking, okay, hold on, don't talk, I understand that's my responsibility. I can do that to help. I don't know if that answers your question,
Yeah.
Brenda. Okay, what was your motion?
I think we were done, we were just, we
Ready
were
to
asking
vote.
anybody else.
Oh, no other discussion? Call the roll.
Counselor Brian?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Connor?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Thank you. Item number 11, consideration of possible action in regard to Resolution 19-24, a resolution of the City of Kenedy, Texas, casting the city's votes for a candidate to serve on the Karnes County Appraisal District Board of Directors for a 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2020. Is there a presentation?
We've been asked to vote on this. It's an annual vote that y'all make to put somebody on
You have to nominate somebody every 2 years,
Every 2
and then
years.
you have to pass a resolution where you delegate the votes however you want. And so the council nominated Lee Heggs, and so now we have to decide, do we want to give all 29 votes to Lee Heggs, or do we want to split it up, or whatever the council wants to do?
So those 29 votes, we have anybody else that would use them?
There's
So-
only 5 on there.
I'm sorry?
There's only 5 on there.
That's not what this ballot says. This ballot says
What'd you say?
City of Kennedy, 29 votes.
Brenda, how many people?
Oh,
You
no,
can spread 'em out
you
amongst
can
the
spread them
five.
out or give them all to one person,
Oh,
so,
I understand that, but aren't they electing those are the only 5 candidates?
Yes.
yes.
And they're all going on there, onto
It's a, so we could have when we, at the last time, when we could have nominated somebody, we could have nominated one person, we could have nominated 5 people, we could have nominated however many people we wanted, so we could have made the ballot larger. But by that resolution in the last meeting, we nominated Lee Heggs
Right.
to represent the city of Kennedy. So we can choose to give all 29 votes to Lee Hicks, or we can split it up 5, 6, 7, 9, whatever.
So what I'm saying is, who else would be voting for us, other than Lee Hicks?
Nobody.
We can vote for anybody. We don't have to vote for him. We can put them all on Brenda Janusek. So like we did this today.
No, but who's gonna be representing, Lee Hex is the only one representing.
Kenedy.
And is that what you're asking?
Right.
Yes.
He's just our nomination. He does. If there would have been more members, and like for example, the county had 739 votes, they could have gave them all to Lee Hicks and not our nomination, which was Brenda Janusek. So you could have had 10 nominees on here, and we're entitled to 29 votes.
Right.
So we can split it up however we want. He doesn't necessarily represent us. We can just make a nomination because we're a taxing entity in the county. Does that make sense?
But there's only 5 positions, 5 seats.
Exactly.
There's only 5 on the list.
Exactly. It's a formality. You have to do this.
Yeah, I understand.
So
But it
So
doesn't
those
matter
5
if you give
people-
29 votes or 1, they're all going on there, and you're just giving up your votes.
we're voting, yes.
Right,
We can vote 29 times.
right.
So it's however the council wants to do it. So like today, we voted all 739 votes when I went towards Brenda Janusek as how the county wanted to vote. So now it's our turn. We have 29 votes. How would y'all like to disperse them? And if y'all want to just go ahead and vote 29 votes towards Lee Hicks, since he was our nomination to be on the board, then we can therefore do that.
Hey, does everybody understand why Lee Hicks was the nomination, or why it was y'all's?
He was the previous member sitting on the board that the city of Kenedy had appointed, or
Yeah.
not appointed, nominated, and then placed on the board.
Right, but the paperwork said that the mayor was supposed to nominate somebody.
Right.
It's not like I kept anything from you for nominating somebody. You could have nominated, you know what I'm saying? It said the mayor is to do this, and I did that. And he was the guy there, so that's who I nominated. And Brenda's on there because she's the collector assessor.
And they serve a 2-year term.
And if I understand what I'm saying, I would like for the 29 votes to go to Lee.
Regardless, if we didn't vote at all, just gave 1 vote or whatever, those 5 members are going to stay on the board because there's only 5 nominations.
Right.
So then I'll just make a motion to cast all 29 votes for Lee Hicks.
And I'll second that.
Is there any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, please call the roll.
Counselor Brandon?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines? Yes. Counselor Kano?
Yes.
Counselor Wire?
Motion passes, thank you. Consideration of possible action in regard to the selection and/or removal of employee group insurance coverages. I'm sorry. I'm gonna skip 12. I'm gonna go to
15.
15. Yeah, let's move to 15. You guys okay with that?
Yes.
You want 15 or 16?
Let's do 15 so we can make sure that these guys want to do it. Item number 15, consideration and possible action in regard to ordinance 19-13. An ordinance of the city of Kenedy, Texas, approving a budget amendment to provide funds for the city of Kenedy Carrizo Well project, providing a severability clause, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and establishing an effective date.
Make a motion that we discuss item 15.
Second,
I'll second that.
presentation.
Y'all see, in the paperwork you've got the numbers for probably close to what it's gonna cost us. They're little worst-case scenario numbers to finish acquiring all of the right-of-way, the parcels, the surveys, having that turnkey. Now, it's not necessary for that entire amount to be encumbered at this point. What we do have to encumber at this point to seal the contract is $50,000. The other can wait until the December meeting, at which point we should have a better idea on the total package for the bond package and have a presentation for y'all about what the total amount might look like, as well as having an ordinance or a resolution in place for how we would pay this money. because the intent was if we encumber that entire amount, it needs to be repaid by the bond issue, and we just were not able to have the time to put together a resolution to say that that would be repaid out of the bond package. I would feel comfortable if we have the $50,000 committed to secure the land at this point and let us move forward with the rest of it. That should buy us enough time to get the resolution in place and get you all a really close number on the total price of the project. And then do it all at one time, including this is what we want to do, this is what the bond people to look forward to find for. I don't see any reason. This gives us 6 months. If we dedicate the $50,000 tonight, that gives us 6 months by the UPR contract to go ahead and do the work we need to do. And that also gives us 6 months to have the bonds secured and sold and fund the entire project and let this thing run as fast as it can run down the road.
And 6 months is enough time for you to get everything you need in order.
Yes. Well, I say yes. Part of that will depend on the bond folks. It's, as I understand, Renee, 6 months will buy us enough time to get the survey done, the balance survey done at the very minimum. And we'll be able to sign the UPR contract. We'll be able to close the UPR deal in 6 months. That puts us into May. We should be able to move the bonds before then.
Basically, this is earnest money.
Yes.
The $50,000 is the earnest money that secures our right to finish this contract.
And without that, they can go out and sell it to.
They could sell it to College City, they could sell it to the county, they could sell it to Beeville, whoever they want to.
Okay.
And where's the 50,000 coming from? You probably said it, I just missed it.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
We have it in the bank.
Okay.
I would like for him to take it from capital improvements, which is already budgeted.
Right.
So how much do we know how much we have in capital improvements?
I did not look at that today,
Okay.
I'm sorry, but.
I'm just making sure it doesn't
Yeah, we have-
hurt any other
it's
future
not gonna-
projects that we have
It's not gonna hurt any of
planned
the
during
projects
capital.
we've got going right now. We can always, again, as part of our resolution on the bonds, we can make sure that 50,000 gets put back in capital improvements out of the bond. We'll need it a lot more in May than in the other.
And in the event that we can't put the 50,000 back, it was a budgeted amount,
Right.
and it is a capital improvement.
Oh, no, I'm all for it. I just want to make sure we're not jeopardizing any other projects.
So, but don't misunderstand the thing. When you may be back up here next week asking to approve a resolution that allows him to do exactly what he's asked for here by removing the money from the, removing $8 million from the reserve funds. But he's gonna give, if he does that, he's gonna give you a resolution that guarantees anybody, us or after us, that it puts that money back through bonding.
Yeah.
But there's other questions that really need to be answered. Do you guys wanna do this water deal?
Yeah.
Is there anybody here that doesn't wanna do it?
It's an
It's a
absolute
serious
necessity.
business.
That's just big time necessity.
I have to make sure.
I agree.
So do we agree that or does everybody wanna go get bonds to fund this thing? Or do you wanna drain the bank and?
No, we're gonna get bumped.
I have to know what you wanna do before we start going on to the next item, cause it's serious business after this.
Yeah.
We don't have the money to do the whole project.
Right, we want a bonded project.
But
And I see everybody saying yes.
once the RO is taken offline, there comes the payment
Yes, sir, you're
for no
correct.
longer going towards the RO
Yep.
to pay this bond back. It makes lots of sense.
And if you notice in your budget, that payment going to the RO has gone up every year.
Very big time. We just got hit for what, more chemicals that we didn't expect, like 30 grand more? I'm just asking, I know they sound like dumb questions, but this is what I get hit with, and if I'm sitting here encouraging you to let him write a check and take it out of capital improvements, Justin would be right. Something might suffer down the road, but if I let him take 8 million out, everything's gonna suffer, because we got to have the resolution. But don't get upset with us when we call you and say, hey, we gotta have another meeting, because all those guys out there have to go to work, and it's gonna cost money. But we have to, so the money will be available, but we're guaranteeing that it doesn't matter if none of us are here next year, whenever those bond proceeds come through,
That money goes.
because somebody, and not us, worked very hard to build these up.
Yep.
And those are pretty significant numbers that we don't ever want the city to lose. Not to mention, it's part of the reason we have a AA negative or minus bond rating.
That's right.
And Dusty will be here when? When is Dusty coming?
14th,
21st.
21st.
Yeah, it was backwards, 12 and 21.
Yeah.
And he's the bond guy, he's the money guy, so he can explain it to all of us how it's gonna work or what our best options are. So, what we're looking for in a motion is, let him execute the agreement, pay the escrow, the 50,000, and ask him to get it from, capital improvements.
And to be clear, Mayor, that would be for you to execute the contract. 'Cause it would
Okay.
be a contract.
Okay, but that's gonna ruin this ordinance, though. This ordinance is not gonna be
Right.
valid,
That's correct.
because we won't need to
We don't
budget.
need to do the ordinance, you know, at this point. We do
Okay.
not need to do the ordinance. We will hold the ordinance in case we need it in the future.
So really, all we need to do is make a motion to give you authorization to spend the $50,000
$50,000 and for the mayor to
for the mayor
execute the
to execute
contract.
the contract
That's correct.
for the escrow on the light,
That's correct.
not ordinance 1913.
Right.
Okay.
We'll do that.
All right.
Yes, you can do that because the funding's gonna come from the same source
Right.
eventually. So you could amend the item to reflect the.
And I'll make a motion that we authorize the city manager to spend $50,000 toward the escrow on the land for our water project, and the mayor to, we authorize the mayor to execute that contract.
That execution of the contract will be item 16.
Oh, okay.
Out of capital outlay.
Out of
Yeah.
capital, out of the capital improvement.
Improvement, we don't have that.
Or
Capital
improvements.
It will be a capital outlay.
Hey, but to keep it legal, Adolfo, do you understand what we're doing? So we don't need,
You're-
we don't even need item number 15 anymore, 19,
You're
13.
amending the item to reflect, because it's
Okay.
a expenditure of funds. So the funds are going to eventually come from the same place, so you can amend the item to reflect the expenditure because it's going to be the same project.
Okay, so 1913, it says an ordinance approving the budget amendment, but since they're not amending the budget, do they still need 1913?
You amend the item. So
Okay.
you don't need ordinance.
Yeah,
The amendment
we
will
made-
get rid of.
What we
ordinance
did, did not include 1913.
Right.
All we need is the
Do it
second
away
count.
with
Okay. Carry on.
I'll
Everybody
second.
Is there any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Tanner?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
Almost over.
Motion passes. Okay, item number 16. Discuss and consider resolution 19-26, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Kenedy, Texas, authorizing the city to enter into a purchase and sell agreement with Union Pacific Railroad for the city's purchase of approximately 280.64 acres of real property for construction of a water pipeline and facilities to transport water from the city's planned Carrizo well field to the city in the amount of $3,762,000 even regarding the City of Kenedy Carrizo well project. Movement?
Make a motion to discuss item 16.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
So this now is talking about the entire purchase, not the,
This is authorizing the mayor to sign the contract for the entire purchase, $3,762,000 for the 20-plus miles of right-of-way.
but we don't have anything in here about the bond,
Right.
put that money back.
Right, well, we haven't, we're authorizing the purchase, that this buys us the 6 months to do the funding mechanism for that $3.762 million. This doesn't fund it, it just says we're going to enter into the agreement, which gives us the 6 months based on the 50,000 we just authorized.
Okay.
To make sure that all the ducks are in a row before we pull the trigger on the 3.762.
Adolfo, Resolution 19-26. Whatever they vote on right now, are they held to 19-26? Because that's what's named in there.
The resolution just authorizes the execution of the agreement because it's such a large amount.
Okay?
So it gives you the, in a sense, the history of the project and why the reason for execution of the agreement. It gives you authorization to sign it in a sense. The contract is by itself a contract.
Okay.
So the resolution authorizes you to sign the contract. With regard to the purchase sale agreement has that $50,000 as an escrow down payment.
Okay, what's the chicken clause? I always call that in real estate the chicken clause. That's the clause that says, okay, we've done everything we said we were gonna do, and now we realize this ain't gonna work for us.
Well, if we find, for example, and David could probably correct me, but if we find, for example, we find a place of that where it is totally unusable because of some prior contamination, that's part of it. That says we don't have to do the deal.
6-month feasibility?
Yeah, we've got the 6-month feasibility is our chicken clause. It says if we don't find what we find on the ground is what you said it was, we can call chicken on this and back out. Is that correct, David?
Yeah, I don't see us in that position, but that's
I don't
a
either, but
possibility.
I always like
there.
to cover my bases, because if, say, we did find ourselves in that position and we didn't cover our bases, we still gotta eat it.
Yeah.
Right.
The risk is that it's probably not gonna be that bad,
Right.
but if it is, it allows you an out.
My
And-
concern was, we're not authorizing anybody, myself, the city manager, anybody after us, to go and spend $3 million out of the funds that are listed in the resolution as Exhibit A. That's what I want to make sure does not happen.
Yeah, we're not passing on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that that doesn't happen, that somewhere in all this, it said here tonight, something collects that, something captures it that says any money spent is to be reimbursed by bonds. But, I mean, you get why, right? It's not you and it's not me,
The
it's
only-
anybody after
Yes,
us.
the only money we're spending tonight, period, is $50,000. The rest is contingent on everything
Feasibility
we
study
find,
and everything
being
else that we find.
copacetic down the road, and we fund the project through however mechanism we fund it through.
Okay, what does Resolution 1926 say? Does it have an Exhibit A?
The Exhibit A is what's in the back here.
Okay,
This is the pipeline.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
The exhibit A you were speaking of is for
1913?
1913,
Okay.
and that's off the board.
Okay. Everybody heard it, it's off the board. I just don't want the money gone, and then that doesn't ever get put back.
I have a question, though, I'm sorry. So is this different from the sports complex? Because the sports complex, any funds that are spent before a reimbursement resolution is done, we can't get reimbursed for those.
Correct.
And he's mentioning that, that's why I want to bring that up, because I don't know if it's the same thing.
For this project, or?
Yeah, her question is this project like the sports complex, where in the sports complex, anything that was spent before the resolution, we could not get back.
The reimbursement resolution had to be done before we could spend any funds towards the project, or we would not get, the city could not get reimbursed for any of that money.
That's why I wanted to go after this.
Well, the 50,000 is an escrow.
We're not talking about the 50,000.
Yeah.
We're beyond the
Towards the
50.
project.
This is the 3.7 million that
We're not talking about
talking
spending
about.
any of that or allocating any of that until we have the resolutions in place to guarantee our replacement.
That's-
Repayment.
The money can't be spent unless the council authorizes it. And when they authorize that money, the resolution of the ordinance is going to have to be an outline of how the money's going to be spent. So the money's not authorized right now, just $50,000 escrow. So that's not going to be lost in a sense. So the only thing that's going to go forward is, in a sense, the surveying and just making sure.
Right,
that-
I understand all that. I understand all that. And I understand the whole process. I'm asking the questions for the benefit of the citizens who are watching, who have these questions, and they need to have the answers. So we are only approving a contract signing by the mayor with the $50,000 earnest money, and all the other stuff that's going to be done, no other money will be spent until we have a resolution in place that whatever we spend will be returned from the bonds back to our surplus.
That's correct. That's the funding part. The funding part necessarily is not addressed in the contract.
I understand that. I understand that.
You're correct.
Yeah,
But you
I
are
mean,
correct, yes.
if you would just answer the question instead of trying to be legal,
Okay.
just answer the question, we'd all could move forward, but just
All right.
yes, no. Don't need nothing else.
I would say, yes, you are correct.
Okay, that's what we need to know.
Any other discussion? Does everybody understand what you're gonna do on this? If you don't, please ask. Because I think I do, but I may not.
I think I'm pretty clear now.
Yeah. If there's no other do we have a movement, what we wanna do?
I'll make a motion that we consider Resolution 1926 to be for the City Council of the City of Kenedy, Texas, to authorize the city to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with Union Pacific Railway for the city's purchase of approximately 280.64 acres of real property for construction of a water pipeline, a facility to transport water from the city's planned Carrizo well field to the city in the amount of $3.762 million regarding the city of Kenedy and Carrizo well project.
Leslie, would you capture 3,762,000 even?
$3,762,000 even.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, please call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes.
Let's get it going.
Okay, Hanson's expenses, I'm gonna try to get them out of the way if y'all don't mind. Item number 17.
Okay.
Consideration and possible action in regard to options provided by Hanson Engineering Services for the East Main paving project. Movement?
I'll make a motion, we discuss item number 17.
No, second.
Presentation.
I'm not John, but I'll do my best. All right, so there are 4 options for how to finish out the pavement for East Main. Once upon a time, we put together this project since the original, work.
Thank you.
We've added in utilities along with the paving and drainage that was contemplated. So we're a little higher on budget than the original $650,000. But of the 4 estimates that we've looked at, one includes a double course surface treatment for the pavement, which is a little inferior to hot mix. 3 of the items include hot mix. The 4th item, which y'all had requested that he look at in addition to the other 3 he had already previously looked at, is for scraping out some subgrade and pulling it off, and then coming back with base and everything on top of that. So the cost to do that is option 4 is $377,000 and some change. This is an estimate of what the actual work will cost. We're going to pay the contractor for what he actually does. So the number might be a little less than that. Okay, so the numbers, let me just go through them. Option 1 was $357,000. Option 2 was $432,000. Option 3 was $306,000. And this last one, which is the one that I think he would like you all to choose, is $377,000. You also have some drawings that kind of show in side view what the roadway section consists of. So, I presume that we would like a motion to select option 4, if that's your choosing, so that we can to instruct the contractor on how to finish up this project.
Any movement?
So option 4, that was the last time we said, this is what we had asked for, right, was to.
Correct.
Motion. To consider whether.
17. I make a motion to consider possible action in regards to the option provided by Hanson Engineering Services for the East Main paving project.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion.
So the fourth one again was the fourth option was the one that we had asked for, right, was to remove everything that was underneath. We wanted him to go back and kind of get some others. Am I
That's
right?
correct.
Isn't that-
So what we're going to do in the fourth option is we're going to take advantage of the stuff that's on the top that's pretty good material. We're going to reuse it. We're going to move it over, excavate out, pick up and carry away below that the stuff that's not as good. We're going to take the other, put it back over the top and use that. So you get good material, the road doesn't come up quite so high. These are all pluses. And it's not the highest price option on here, it's about the middle of all the 4 options that we've looked at.
And we'll have a good 20-year.
Really great base, yeah, and good. It's
That
going to
road-
be, it's going to be a pavement that all you have to do is tend to the surface every once in a while.
And the warranty that comes with this,
That's a standard 12-month warranty,
12-month
that's about all you can get from the contractor. Unless you want to pay extra for some sort of maintenance bond or something like that, you can get those, but I'm not recommending you do that.
But the expected life is about 20 years, right?
Oh, yes, you need to come in and make sure that any cracks that come up get sealed, but other than that, it should last you 30 years or more.
Okay.
David, so the final course is hot mix?
Hot mix, 2 inches.
what's the maximum capacity of weight that could be on this road?
Well, the 2-inch, this road could take garbage trucks and buses easily. That's the worst
I'm
possible.
saying, because it's a heavily traveled road with the city.
It'll take garbage
Everything's back
trucks,
there.
and that's probably
time
the
and time
worst.
again,
Even
so.
concrete trucks, if you wanted to do that, this road would take it. It's a real good section.
The machinery that the company uses to do this is in good standings. I mean, the machinery makes a difference as well with
Well, I mean,
the road work.
one of the things that we need to do is make sure that they use equipment like that. If they get out there with something that's not gonna do the job, we need to.
I mean,
slow
we're gonna have someone
We need
to
to
check
slow
the
them
material,
down. But this is
check
a-
the machines and all that before
Yeah,
you get
this
started,
is
correct?
this is a good contractor. We've worked with them before. We've got a good contractor. So I'm not too concerned with that. But we will keep an eye out for it.
And we'll have somebody there on site while they're doing this work.
Typically, we go at the opportune times. We're not just out there all the time, because that's kind of waste money, but we go when we really need to. So when they get ready to do hot mix, we'll be out there to make sure they get started and get the operation taken care of. We may not stay the whole time, it looks like they're doing what they need to. So if they get the right equipment, they get the right material, everything goes down right, then we may not stay the whole time.
What about when they start pulling it up? You come out, I know you said when they're doing the hot mix, but you come out there more than just when they're doing the hot mix,
Yes,
right?
we'll make sure that they achieve compaction on the base. We'll make sure that they've rolled out the grid on this option. We'll come out and verify that they've done what they're supposed to do.
Okay. That's what we're gonna send out here.
Some young buck.
Okay.
Y'all want Steve to come out?
I don't know, man, if Steve can take the heat, man. Every engineer that goes over there gets beaten pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, I don't know. No, Steve, I don't want you on that job. He won't come back.
No, we have a lot of people that are eager learners and know what.
Gotcha. Do you guys have any movement on what you wanna do
I
between
do,
the options?
I think we should pick options, propose that we pick option D, to finish the East Main paving project.
Second,
I'll second it. All right.
is there any other discussion?
I said D, but is it 4?
I knew
It
which
said
one you meant.
exhibit D, so I guess option 4.
Everybody's clear on that forward?
From start to finish, time-wise, we start doing the road and get to that part.
I'd like to tell you they'll be finished by Christmas. Let's cross our fingers for good luck. You got holidays and everything else, people just kind of slow down. I can lean on the contractor all day long and I can't make him do it. So we'll push.
But we don't wanna jeopardize
No.
integrity.
You know, we want a good project.
Want the project done to the best of its ability to possibly be done.
Agreed.
They've waited a long time for this, and it's been long overdue, so.
I hear you.
Is there any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, please call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines? Yes. Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you. Item 18, consideration and possible action in regard to Resolution 19-27 for the acceptance of a cost proposal for Building A at the Larry Kiesling Youth Sports Complex from Heartland Park and Recreation LLC.
Didn't we skip something we need to go back to?
Yes, we did. I just want Hanson to be able to take
Oh,
off.
This is
okay.
the project.
It's Hanson also.
Yes, sir. LLC in the amount of $599,479 even. And again, I want the mayor to do it. And to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Heartland Park and Recreation LLC for above scope and price. Is there a presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so Heartland Park and Recreation, through the cooperative bidding, this is the same thing that we've done for all the other contracts, so nothing new here. They've offered us a very good price. The cooperative bidding obviously satisfies the procurement laws for opportunity, and they've also satisfied the idea of giving us the best price. So because they go through the cooperative, we are assured that we've met both of those requirements, both the good price and the opportunity to bid. Okay, so I will tell you that this is a really great price. This is the concession stand, which sits in the middle of the 4 fields only. And it includes everything, including the kitchen equipment and everything else. So my recommendation would be, let's award this contract to Heartland Park and Recreation LLC in the amount of $599,479. And there are opportunities, I'll tell you, there's opportunities to even reduce this price a little bit. And we may investigate that too after we have a contract.
And should the price go down, will that extra money go back into the bond?
No,
This is somewhere else?
we have some more work to award after this, and we have some things that we may want to pick and choose if we can and do a couple of upgrades. So I'll bring those to you as we try and figure that out. But we got to get the thing within budget first, and there's 2 more buildings to do after this.
And how big will this concession stand be? No.
It's 3,300 square feet. It's 2-story, and it has a lower floor with restrooms, an eating area, and a kitchen, and then also a couple of storage closets. And then on the upstairs, it has a scores overlook. So you have basically 4 windows pointing at each of the 4 fields, where scores can be in air conditioning and look out through glass.
18 tons of AC.
Yeah, it's
Pretty nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Hey, something I noticed you said, David, I know we don't have a motion, but, I never heard you say this when we're talking about this complex. You said that price was a great price, because usually it's just, hey, man, here's the lowest number. Is that really a great price?
Yeah, it is. Our estimate for the building alone was 600,000, and this includes the kitchen equipment also.
Good job.
You got a good deal.
Any movement?
How much is left to use towards this complex? I mean, up to this part. How would it be so far?
We're going to look for savings and value.
Okay.
So considering that we can do a little bit of that and put a few nice extras in, we're going to be right there at budget. So right now, we're within 1%. I think we're 1% high, which is why I'm telling you that I think we want to look for some of the value savings if we can.
All right.
But 1% on $7.5 million is $75,000. So about where we are.
Any movement?
I'll make a motion to consider possible, we could.
Take action.
You take action, yes, thank you. In regard to Resolution 1927, acceptance of cost proposal for Building A at the Larry Keesing Youth Sports Complex from Heartland Park to Recreation LLC in the amount of $599,479 to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Heartland Park and Recreation LLC for the above scope.
And I'll second that.
Is there any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, please call it.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines? Yes. Counselor Connor?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
Motion passes, thank you. David, letter to proceed?
We're moving.
Okay. We got the number we wanted.
Yeah, we have 2 more buildings to do, and the only reason I can't tell you any more about where we are on budget is because I need those prices.
Okay.
And I don't have them yet.
That's fine. Appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, let's go back to where, thank you, guys. That's it for Hanson, is that correct?
Yes, that's all we need. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Drive safe. Good seeing you, Steve.
See y'all, thank you.
Thanks again. So, item 11? 12. Consideration of possible action in regard to the selection and/or renewal of employee group insurance coverages, hospital and medical, dental, vision, long-term disability, short-term disability, and life. Movement?
I'll make a motion to consider agenda item number 12.
Second?
I'll second.
Presentation?
So for our health insurance, dental, vision, long-term, and life, all of our providers have given us the same price as last year, so it did not go up. They actually gave us a discount. We went from, with Blue Cross Blue Shield paying $531.99 per employee to $521.48. And they had asked us to include short-term disability to offer it to employees, for them to pay out of pocket if they wish. And if y'all allow us to add that to this, if we have 20 employees signed up, they will reduce it another 3%. So our price would actually only be $516 for health insurance. Blue Cross Blue Shield owns Dearborn. We're kind of giving us a deal for that.
Is it the same company that we used last year?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure it's an insurance that they can actually use.
Yes, it's the exact same thing.
And that's if they add the short term?
Yes.
It'll go down.
Yes. If we have 20 employees that add it, it will go down. If not, then it'll be the negotiated rate of $521.48.
And they'll come in and make the presentation to them and
Yes.
help them understand why that's beneficial to them.
Yes, if approved tonight, we will have open enrollment next week, and they'll come in and do a full presentation on everything.
Okay.
Movement?
I'll make a motion to consider, or take action in regard to the selection and renewal of employee group insurance coverage from last year that we selected.
Blue Cross Blue
Blue
Shield.
Cross Blue Shield.
And I'll
Yes.
second that.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, please call roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Connor?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
Motion passes, thank you. Item 13, consideration of possible action in regard to an agreement for fire prevention and protection services between the City of Kenedy and the City of Kenedy Volunteer Fire Department. Is there a presentation?
Mayor, council, we've been working with the fire department. We've been through 4 or 5 different revisions. We have an agreement that provides basically an interlocal agreement with the fire department so we can fund their budget and fund the training center and move forward in getting some of their stuff taken care of. We were very happy. The fire chief is here tonight. The fire department still needs to approve this, but we'll have them present it at their next meeting, which will be December, first Monday in December. Yeah, so their meeting. This has been reviewed by legal. Thank you, Adolfo, very much for working on this, because this has been several weeks in the making, but it's gotten us to the point, and we have a copy for everyone. That puts us all in a good place with our work with the fire department. Since they do have a fire district, this makes sure that the city is well covered anytime we have needs in the city.
So we took over this, have them present to the fire department, and then the fire department brings back to us for approval? Is that
We approve it tonight, we send it to the fire department. If they have any questions or they want any amendments, then we'll do the same as we did with the school resource officer agreement. We will bring it back to you to look at their amendments. And once both of you have signed off on it, then we're ready to go. It's a 5-year with renewal agreement for basically an interlocal agreement.
You guys are happy with that?
Yeah.
You happy with it?
Chief, are you happy?
I have a copy.
You haven't looked at the final.
Like I said, we just finalized this yesterday,
Let's go look at it.
but they'll get a chance to review it, look at it, and if they have some corrections to make, we will then bring their corrections back to y'all for a final agreement. But this pretty much captures everything that we have talked about with them in terms of being involved in the budgeting process and being involved with their training and making sure they abide by the rules and regulations of their department, as well as city rules and regulations.
I want to see their rules before we agree to anything. I want to see what they're actually following. I want to see their rules and their bylaws because it mentions it in there. And I don't think we should be held to anything that we haven't reviewed.
Okay. Can you provide that for us by next month? What we'll do is we'll send this to them then. If y'all want to take no action, we'll make sure they look at this and approve it and bring it back to the copy of their bylaws.
Yeah, and as soon as you get all that, send it out to us, so we'll have time to look at it and
Oh, you
do it.
Yeah, as soon as I can get it from the chief of bylaws and send it out to y'all.
That and this.
Yeah.
I have a lot of concerns with it as well. And I want to make sure that we do it right and it's done right the first time. Something that worried me was you just said something about funding their budget. We just went through about $200,000 in that fire department. And if there's a problem with us funding that budget, we need to be aware of that.
It'd be like, their budget's just like the police department budget. Once it's passed, then they spend those funds as they seem appropriate to achieve their mission.
No, they gotta follow the rules and the law. And if it's a line item for a specific thing, then that's what it's
Well,
for.
yeah.
I just know that I heard you say so we could fund their budget and we won't have any problems. That's what I want too, but if there is a problem with their budget, we need to know about it.
Okay.
Because I got a line item on here that I'm gonna talk about in a minute. Now, I don't wanna surprise anybody.
Then I would suggest, my recommendation would be y'all take no action on this, table it for the next meeting.
Thank you. Does anybody have any movement?
I'll make a motion that we table agenda item number 13.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
Oh,
Y'all keep those in there.
Okay. What are you doing? You took my papers, Brenda? I'm joking. Thank you. If there's no other discussion, call the roll, please.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Kano?
yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
Only three.
Motion passes, thank you. Item number 14, consideration of possible action in regard to Resolution 19-25, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Kenedy, Texas, approving a recommendation of the expenditure of funds in an amount not to exceed $150,000 even for advertising, promoting, and hosting the Kenedy Music Festival and establishing an effective date. Is there a presentation?
This would be y'all's decision, we're going to move forward with what last year was the Mayo Fest to again and do something similar to that this year. And we need to start planning and working on that and securing people for it if we're going to do it again.
Any movement?
Make a motion, we discuss item number 14.
Second?
I'll second that.
Discussion.
So,
Have we got any movement on getting information from the Chamber of Commerce where we're at with that agreement that's supposed to be trying to work on to get all the information that we requested from the city?
we're still working on that. I need to meet with their attorney to talk about some things before we go too far down the road with the chamber, but this will be for the city's festival. I think you'll see the chamber is interested in doing Blue Bonnet Days again in the near future, and you may see that on the next agenda, as a matter of fact. So we may have two different festivals this spring, but I know the chamber has expressed desires for us to begin working together and see if we can solve some issues.
Well, we should work with them, you know, and we want to work with them, and we've offered to work with them. And that brings up a lot of my agenda as well. And we're gonna get into that in a minute, but, I mean, they're thinking one thing, and we're thinking something else, because our attorneys don't talk.
I need to talk to their attorney.
No, you need to see the letter that we received from the Attorney General.
Yeah,
Our attorney's supposed to be talking to theirs, because we already got the opinion from the Attorney General on what I'm gonna say he has encouraged them to do.
Which letter was that?
The one that,
Very first?
no, the one that encouraged them to give us an audit of the finances that the city provided them.
Is that the one I got when I went to the Attorney General letter?
So anyway, we do want to work with the chamber. We offered them an agreement, a very nice agreement. But there's laws we gotta follow over here. And it doesn't matter what happened before. In 2017, the comptroller says this is the way it is, and a checkbook register is not the report they're looking for. I can't help that. All I can do is tell you that that's what the comptroller says. They want an itemized report. So I don't know why we're even talking about that, but
yeah.
we got $600,000 in hot funds. We should have 10 festivals in this town every year, because you can't do anything else with those funds.
This agenda item is for y'all to decide if you want to move forward with the city festival, music festival this year.
I do know that the chamber the board has decided that in cooperation with hopefully the city, that the chamber wants to bring the event back downtown. The chamber executive director has talked with the police chief about and the city manager about executing a parade route that's safe, hosting the event downtown, that the chamber feels is safe, as well as the city. I know the chamber is securing large headliners with the budget that we do have, both for Tejano Night and country western performers. The chamber is pretty much trying to bring the event back downtown, meet the needs of not only the citizens, but bringing in people from surrounding communities to put the heads in beds. The only thing at this time that we know that we cannot afford to do is the carnival, but we're trying to meet every other need beside that. I don't know if the city would consider financially doing something or contributing or looking into sponsoring a carnival, but we just can't afford that $25,000. So I know we're looking at March 6th and 7th, I believe, is going to be Blue Bonnet Days this year. We're trying to push it a little bit away from Mayo Fest, just to give some separation, but personally, in my opinion, I don't think we need a festival back-to-back like that, but that's just my opinion. Just kind of an update from the chamber.
Justin, you made a comment earlier in what you were saying about moving it back downtown. Was it a problem moving it out there to where it was at?
I don't think it was a problem. It gave us more of a secure facility. It's just not structurally set up to hold an event like that if bad weather pertains to happen.
Yeah.
So when it rains, and it did this past year, it gets really muddy. We're very gracious that the show barn board allowed us to go out there and host the event out there, but you know, it's one of those things, we want to meet the needs of the citizens, but we were trying to grow the event as well in a safe environment. And we're trying, you know, working with the city to make that happen.
But I think having more than one event is good. I mean, the whole purpose of these events is to draw people into the community and showcase what we have to offer and put heads in beds. And every time, you know, we fill up those hotels, and we got a bunch of them. Every time we fill them up, that's more money for the city of Kenedy hot fund to do stuff with. So,
I mean, I think the festival of the Mail Fest last year, this year, did well. I don't see why we wouldn't do it again. I mean, and we were able to give some money back to the community, to our kids, so that was a plus. I mean, you know, Blue Bonnet Days wants to still, I'm all for them doing theirs too. So if we have two, I'm okay with two. I really think we should go ahead and do the music festival again this year. I think it was great. I think we got a lot of good responses from people. I think it was an amazing event. I don't see why we couldn't do both. Or at least with them doing theirs and we doing ours. And if by then we come into agreement, then maybe we'll be one big thing, you know, with the chamber and the city eventually, hopefully.
Maybe we could do a third one later on in the year with them.
With them, yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen.
Does anybody talk to the motels about any of this? I mean, because that's who pays for this thing. I have. They didn't have no rooms last year. They're gone. They have people from out of state. We would be fools not to do that music festival again.
The only problem I have with that, you know, I asked for one report, and it had one amount, and then I asked for another detailed report, and it came up with a different amount, and then I've asked for a third report, and we don't even know what that amount is. So if we don't even know what we're spending or what we've spent, I'm not comfortable spending that kind of money until we actually know what we have spent.
That's how I feel about the chamber. We don't know exactly what was spent.
Well, I can talk to the chamber.
The expenses,
I'm not the chamber,
you knew what was spent.
How would I know if I didn't get a report?
Whatever you want to see, we have a accounting software that we can print you off whatever you want. I promise you it's detailed.
Yeah, but I was just
what the
reinforcing
chamber
your
actually
point.
said was, we're very cautious with how we use those funds because of what statute says what is okay and not okay.
I'll bring you the video, Justin.
Okay.
That's not what they said.
Actually, that was a meeting that this whole board besides Cindy said it.
I'm gonna email every one of y'all that video.
Okay. And I'll get back with the chamber executive director to find that exact date that we all met at the chamber. Because we had that discussion.
Yeah, we did. I saved it. I saved the video clipping of what they said, and I told you this before.
And you
but that's not
also
what they
received
said.
a piece of paper that was very detailed and said, this is what we're concerned about and this is what we need help with, because the statute doesn't clearly say that you can expend these funds for law enforcement, overtime officers, for fencing in each and every category. I'm okay with the event, but we're not going to attack the chamber. That's not even what this agenda.
We're not attacking the
But that's not
chamber.
what this agenda item's about.
That's not, we weren't attacking, I wasn't attacking, I was reinforcing her comment on, she wants to know what was spent.
And I told
And
you
that's how I
and
feel
I told
about
you
the
could get
chamber.
that. I told you could get that.
Because we're obligated, Justin, it doesn't matter if personally I'm with the chamber or not.
I'm
obligated.
telling you,
When
the
comptroller
information
says-
you're requesting, we will get it to you.
Well, the Attorney General sent them a letter, how come you haven't gotten it to us then? I mean, because they sent it to you, just like they sent it to us.
We gotten anything else from the
See, that's the
attorney?
problem when you put everybody on one board and they get money from another one and it's.
No, it's
that's the whole
not.
problem.
Our funds are completely transparent. Any city funds will be shown in an expenditure report as you are asking. But like I said, that is not this agenda item.
Yes, let's stick to the agenda.
And then I'm looking at the resolution and I see the clawback provision. And I asked you, Amanda, on that very first report that you, or maybe it was the second one, if we paid for all of that with hot funds, and you said yes. So when I read this, it looks like you just paid everything with hot funds, and this is basically saying that the city of Kenny will refund any hotel occupancy tax funds determined by the state comptroller if it seems to be an unauthorized expenditure. So did we just pay everything, not knowing what we could use hot funds for?
Yeah, the entire festival was paid
Okay,
by
by
hot funds, so everything that had to do with the festival was paid by with hot funds. So it's the same if I went and paid for something that had nothing pertaining to the festival with the hot funds.
So what I'm
then
saying
have
is,
to-
so we don't know beforehand what can,
We do,
what
but
can
I
we
think
pay?
it's just the part of their contract it has to state that if something happens that they don't, that it has to be repaid back. I think that's why.
But again, we still can't come up with a number. We've had 2 different numbers, and the third one we don't know.
Do we really
So
have 3
until-
different numbers?
We've got 2
Yes.
for sure.
Is 150,000 enough for this festival? I mean,
No,
Yeah,
it's
we're
really
making-
not, but last year, I do remember that we offered to provide more, and I thought we stayed within the 150,000. So if we're saying there's 2 different numbers, I really would like to know what those 2 numbers are.
The final numbers I have was that the last detailed report that I gave to each council member.
That was the second one. That was
Yes,
at
that was the last one I've given.
174, the first one was 150, and the third one, because I asked for a detailed report coming from, I don't know, what's her name? Karen. Yeah, we should be able to print everything out, every single expenditure. I didn't see the carnival on there, I didn't see beer sales, even though if we didn't make that, it's still something that should be shown. Because people want to know what was spent, the exact amount.
We didn't spend anything on beer sales, did we?
We didn't.
Well, it doesn't matter, if we spent money, even if we made it, just show it.
We didn't make
We didn't
any.
make anything.
Well, I understand that, but
But
just
that's
show it.
their,
Just
that's,
show
that
it.
you have to get
But
the
they're
beer
doing it
from
for the
them.
city of Kennedy, so just put it on there. To let them see
What do
what
you
But
want
you
us
have
to put on
to,
there?
you have to get it from the beer vendor because we don't have,
What do you
we didn't have
want
any
us to put
control
beer
of that.
sales?
you can't put what they made if they were doing
That was
it for.
their-
That's their,
That's their thing. We
private-
didn't have
that's a-
anything to do with
That's a
it.
private entity that did beer sales, that's like any other vendor.
That's like the vendors who
that we
came to
have.
sell food, that was their money
Yeah,
when
I
they
understand all
that's the
that.
same thing
I'm
with the
not-
meat.
So do we
not-
put on there how many tacos they sold too?
If you want to be that detailed, yeah. it would be
I mean, I'm just trying to figure it out. What are you,
I
you're
just want
asking for
an
1
accurate
billion?
number.
let me ask
So
this
what you
question as
asked
well.
me,
Because
Expenditures is what you
Expenditures.
asked for.
yes.
Now you want us to tell
And
you
now
what
there's
somebody
three
else
different numbers.
profited on. We don't have that. I don't have that number. I don't know how many tacos they sold.
You mentioned to me it was about 31,000 that they sold in beer sales.
That's what
pretty
he
good.
had mentioned to me,
Yeah.
but he never provided anything, because I didn't ask for any of the vendors to provide
was
anything on
their-
their sales.
is that bill vendor providing scholarships, is that okay? Does it cause a problem within the city ordinances or anything like that? Because I know he wants to get back and do good for the kids, but
No, that doesn't.
that
It was,
that
it
was
was a
their-
donation back to the city.
Okay.
Anybody can donate to the city, well, whatever. But
And if you wanted some sort of report from the vendors, we can ask the vendor, if.
No,
we can
I
ask
don't
the
need that,
vendors to
just,
give.
whatever money that the city spent is what I'm asking. I've asked for it 3 times, and I can't get an accurate number.
The final report I gave you is with the accurate numbers that I have, which was.
No, that's
that we-
fine, but we got another report that he and I have been looking at, and it didn't.
Well, we'll look at those. We're continuing to look at those and see where the discrepancies are.
Yeah, get back to us with that. Because I mean, I'm
Like I
curious.
say, I'm still trying to figure it out. And I've looked at it several times. And
I mean, because I remember a report being printed and it was passed out to everybody. What was that number?
$150,000,
First one.
$700 and something dollars.
No.
But I
Yeah, and I
also
think
have
they said something to you about
We
it.
got another report.
Something
Yeah, I have a
more
report that
professional or on a
shows-
spreadsheet or something.
like 170,000. So we're trying to figure out what the discrepancy is between the two and what was not accounted for. And we'll have to
If
go
something was
on.
accounted for twice.
all that 150,000 has to put heads in bids?
Supposed to in
Yes.
some way.
Yep.
Yes.
The way the city makes money is the residuals
We make money because of the folks that stayed in the hotel.
People that went to HEB
And McDonald's and for McDonald's.
and McDonald's. That's right.
I just really,
Sales
I really
tax.
think that we need to get back into working with the chamber at some point. I don't know that we need 2 festivals. I mean, you know, it's not to me, but.
Well, let's weigh out this. Let's call the motels and see which one made more money on what event, because they pay for this thing. Because,
So do we want to look back at numbers for when the chamber had it downtown? Because that would be comparables. And then also, what was the budget that the chamber had and used those hot funds for versus the $150,000, $175,000 that the city spent? Because when you're spending tens of thousands of dollars on entertainers, of course you're going to bring in more people. So you can't compare a $50,000 budget to a $175,000 budget. You have to use that as a variable to the amount of people that actually came into the city, and also compare if it's the exact same type of event. So yeah, Blue Bonnet Days maybe 3 years ago, yeah, I think that's somewhat comparable to doing Mayo Fest this year. But if you look at the Blue Bonnet Days this past year at the show barn versus Mayo Fest here downtown Kenedy, that's not comparable. It's completely two different events, 2 different budgets and everything else. So if you want to compare apples to apples, then yeah, let's ask the hotels 3 years ago. And then also taking into consideration, what did the chamber actually spend versus what is the city spending with these hot funds?
right, but the bottom line is 150 versus 140 is $10,000 difference. We understand that. And that's the joy of the city doing festivals. The city doesn't look for a profit for the city. The chamber does. The city makes their money on residual. We do exactly what the law says. We're not trying to give out $8,000 in cook-off prizes, or we're not trying to make money on the tickets and the beer for the pockets. It's the residuals that the city makes. That's what the money is designed for.
So the
So
money
we
is
don't even have to
designed for
compare the
putting
chamber.
heads in beds.
That's
So the
right.
Chamber of Commerce is promoting local business, which so you're talking about $8,000 in barbecue prizes.
Right.
That the city does not pay for that. Those do not come out of hot funds.
You just asked me about what we spend or what the chamber spends and what the city spends, and I said 150 and 140.
What's 140?
I don't know, Justin. I understand that you're very favorable
I'm
of the
talking
chamber. I don't have a problem with any of
$50,000
that.
versus $150,000.
But Justin, I can help you on that.
Sure.
The 3 years ago, the chamber got a little over $130,000 in hot money. And, you know, I don't know how much we actually used that went toward the event, but that's the amount of money that we got. It was about $130,000. And the last year they got money, that's about what it was, $127,000, $128,000 in hot money that went to the Chamber of Commerce.
Correct.
And that
Did they
was,
use all that money?
now,
Yeah,
whether
so-
they used it all or not, you
What was
know.
that?
$100,000 of that went to Escondido Creek, 3 years in a row. So
There's
that
a
means
letter,
it was
guys, we got a letter.
$31,000.
You guys got a letter, okay? And basically, this is
Yeah,
what they
yeah.
told us. They gave us, the 300 that they gave to the Escondido Creek Parkway, they made that decision for the city. Instead of showing us the money and saying, hey, here's your $345,000 back, they said, eat the $300,000, we owe you $45,000, and that's it, out of the $345,000. And there's documentation of that here. That wasn't right. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it was right? Because it's whatever's favorable amongst this board. But I tell you what you're not gonna ignore. You're not gonna ignore the fact that the law says you got to promote tourism. And that's what was in that agreement. And it doesn't matter which one of you guys sit on that board, okay? It says promote tourism. They marked it out. They did not want to do it. They gave it back to us. They don't want to do tourism, was what they told us. Find your letter, look at it.
Escondido
The whole
Parkway's
contract was
tourism.
marked out.
No,
It
we're
was
talking about the
reviewed by.
festival, and that, you have the same agreement, Brandon. And it's marked out, it says we're not gonna do tourism for the city of Kenedy. We cannot make them do tourism. They said they don't wanna do it.
That's not what they said.
Is that
That's,
true?
no.
It's marked
They
out.
marked out the whole
Marked out the
contract.
legal
Just because
document.
verbiage gets marked out
They
does
marked
not
out the
mean
whole
someone
contract. They
saying,
didn't like
hey,
it.
I don't want to promote tourism in our community. Because I can guarantee you, our chamber, out of any chamber of commerce in this county, does more in promoting local businesses and promoting tourism in the city. Anybody knows that they can call Jolene and she promotes all local parks, all small businesses, any type of attraction that's in this community. So just because something's striked out, did you ask why it was
They
struck
wouldn't
out?
talk to me. They only talk to you because you're on their board.
Actually, that's not true at all. So I
Stay
mean,
within the agenda item,
It is
please.
true.
no, it's not.
Let's stay within the agenda item.
That's what I was told. I couldn't talk to anybody because it's between the attorneys. And I even asked this board. I said, do you guys get to talk to the chamber? Yes. I can't because they tell me no, it's between the attorneys. But what I can do is I can read the paper and I can see the red lines drawn through the, we don't want to do tourism. So when the comptroller sends me a letter and says, hey, what are you gonna do? And I gotta go look at that clause that she just read a while ago, what do I gotta do? I have to bring the council
I
something
guess
to
it's all
protect the
about
money.
interpretation then, because
No,
just
it's all
because a
about
word
being
is struck
biased,
out
Justin.
does no, not
The
being
laws are the
biased.
laws, Justin.
I
No matter how you cut it, man.
Okay, again, let's just stay within
Jeez.
the agenda item, so.
Everything's okay if we're favorable of it.
That's not what I'm saying. I was the one who said it here and agreed that we needed to come up with a contract with the Chamber of Commerce that was
And
updated
we
since it hadn't been
did.
updated since
We
2006.
could include this in another agenda item, another meeting, but please stick. to the
I'm not,
parameters of
okay,
the agenda.
yeah, let's get back to that. I'm not comfortable even doing anything until we actually know what we've actually spent. I'm just not comfortable doing that.
Well, does the carnival put heads to beds?
Yep.
It does. It consider it's under heads of beds. Okay. How about the porta potties?
I don't know that that does. I don't know.
I'm just
You
going.
guys
trying to think of
need to
items that were on that list
understand.
and making sure that they all qualify. Because if we're going to do this, we need to do this right. We're going to spend this $150,000.
Well, what you guys need to do is read the list from the state where it says these are the things that you can do. You can do art, you can do festivals, you can do musicals, you can do, there's a whole list of things that you can do that falls under that category. And the carnival is an event that you
Okay.
can do on that list. And you guys got that information. That information was sent out to all of us. But
Maybe I missed that. But I did not see that.
I just.
Maybe that
I
could
think
be
we're gonna spend
provided to
100. I just want to cover make sure we're covered that with everything we've spent upcoming with this $150,000 that's spent wisely and rightly, and everything's covered. Doesn't come back and bite us in the rear end.
Well, that we don't know that right now, we don't know what we've actually spent.
well, we got two reports. We know we spent somewhere between $150,000 and $170,000.
I believe what the difference might have been with that is the carnival had not been paid yet. Carnival was $25,000.
You didn't pay it, it just got paid, I mean, that was,
I mean, they
I got
invoiced
that.
me, I paid when they invoiced me, had invoiced me. I don't know, I have to look back and see exactly what date, but that's the only thing I see that's within that range that.
Hey, Adolfo, if we don't do anything with hot funds, what does that mean? We can't collect. We can't just take the money and pile it up, right?
Well, you got a time limit before it goes back to the state of Texas.
Yeah,
It's not going to go
next week.
overnight.
Oh, they give you some time to determine what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's
I
therefore.
understand.
I think,
Yeah,
honestly, I
therefore
think that instead of, and this is just me, you know, I think the city of Kennedy right now, considering all the work that needs to be done, that's what we should be focusing on, and not a party at this point.
But we
And
got,
again,
We
this
have
is
to
me.
spend this.
we have to spend
We can't do
hot
both.
money for hot purposes.
We
And
can't
if
use
we're
this
not
money
gonna
for
do it,
anything
we have
else.
to stop collecting the tax.
Why can't we give it to the chamber?
You can't
We
give it
don't
to
have
the
a
chamber
contract.
without a contract with the chamber that agrees that they're gonna follow the laws and rules that is set by the state of Texas. When they sign that contract, we can do
I
that.
understand.
But we've covered that more than once.
So why
I'm
don't
not comfortable
why
doing
doesn't the city of Kennedy do a workshop with the attorneys, both of the Chamber of Commerce and the city attorney, with council members and the board president? Because I think there's a big disconnect on what is following laws and what is trying to ignore the
That's a
laws.
great
Because
idea.
that's not the case, I can tell you, over at the chamber, and I don't think that's the case here. I don't think the city wants to break the rules either. I don't think anybody wants to break the rules. I just think there's misconception on what's being presented to both
I
sides.
think so.
So if we give your buddies the money, are you okay with that?
My buddies, it's a
There's
board
no-
that I was elected to be on, just like this council board right
That's not
here.
my buddy.
So if you have a problem with that, then I guess you should talk to your
And
citizens.
let's stay within the parameters of.
I mean, it's the same thing with the 505, Justin. They got a Facebook and she'll blast us. Come on,
Can't talk
man.
about that.
Are you just because a constituent that lives in my district reached out to me means that we're big
All right.
buddies and I'm pulling favors.
Council, please, we have to stay
What
with
you
the
said in
issues.
that's what I was.
All right, keep
We will
pulling
be in
things, just keep
violation
pulling them. Let's keep
of the
going.
Open
Yeah.
Meetings Act, please.
Okay.
The parameters.
So does anybody have any idea what they want to do with this
Is-
item number 14?
Is Justin's idea possible? Can we get the attorneys?
It has
No,
nothing to do
no,
with
no,
14.
We're not
I mean,
allowed
It
to-
has nothing to do with
You could
14. He's
enter.
told us we can't go anywhere but 14. So let's stay on the agenda. Either we want to do something with this, or we don't want to do something. At the end of the day, we've got to do something for the tourism piece of the money that we collect from hotel motel tax money.
Okay, Amanda, is there a way you can get us a list of what you can and can't do with the hot funds? Give it to us, and we can come back and talk about this again at the next meeting? That way everybody's in understanding of what this money can and can't be used on.
Great idea.
Do you want your secretary to do that? No, he can't give her, okay,
Yes.
okay. Does anybody have a motion?
I'll make a motion we table item number 14 until we get further information on what the hot funds can and can't be used on, and bring this back up at the December city council meeting.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Brandon, so are you saying to this board that you do not know what hot funds can be used for?
Well, it seems like everybody's in an agreement and wants to know what it can and can't be used on. Why don't all of us get educated on what it can and can't be used on so we can make a better judgment on it?
I know what it can be used for,
I do not.
And so,
so I'm asking.
Remember, we're only as,
just answer your
well,
question.
no, I
I'm
am
just asking
asking.
if you're telling us that you don't know what.
Well,
they're
we
for.
have if we have a few that are still in question about it, maybe we should have a little bit more time to review all this.
Brandon, you misunderstand, I'm not trying to argue.
I know, I'm not arguing, Jeff, I'm just saying.
The motion is to table, then you need a.
Right, and there was a discussion, and that was the discussion, and I was the chair, and I asked him if he didn't know, so I could direct him to a place where he could understand it really, really clear. Because it's all over the place, that's all. I didn't ask for an argument. So,
We're not arguing, I feel like if you give us another month and we can come back and talk about this in the December meeting. It's not a yes or a no at the moment, but we have more time to review this.
is there any other discussion? If there's not, call the roll.
Counselor Brandon?
Yes?
Counselor Wynn?
No.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Clemens?
No.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item table. 19, item number 19, consideration of possible action to hire a full-time staff attorney to maximize efficiency and reduce spending of public funds. Any movement?
I'll make a motion to consider agenda item number 19.
Second?
I'll second.
Is there a presentation?
I mean,
Okay, I believe, Kennedy, this is a prime example, okay? This argument we just did. We're at a size, we generate revenues that we need a staff attorney. We need somebody here 40 hours a week. They can actually stay on every single thing that we do. Adolfo's done good, and you're probably the best that we've had, Adolfo, and I'm sincere when I tell you that. The problem is you got 10 other cities that you're working with. We need somebody here all the time, and that's just my personal, from what I've seen up here in a year and a half, we need somebody here every day. I know they're expensive, but if we could ever get our bills and look at it, I think you guys would realize that you're spending money on attorneys for not only the city council, but 4B, and as a prosecutor for municipal court. Justin did bring up several months back about going out for bids for other firms. I wasn't a fan of that. At this point, with the loads of work that we have right now, we need an attorney that's a staff attorney. We need somebody here every day. We can't just go off a month, once a month or twice a month, or a phone call or an email. We really, truly need a staff attorney, in my opinion. And we're already paying for it.
What's the cost for this staff attorney gonna run the city?
I don't know. What's it costing you now?
I don't know.
I don't either.
What is
Do
it?
we know what
I
our
don't either. I
monthly
can't get the
attorney fees
reports.
roughly
I
are?
can't get the bills.
Do Do y'all break it down where city council or city, then, this is where I'll look at 4B, and then,
They each get their separate invoices.
okay.
Could you get us a total of what we spend every month on attorney fees, whether whoever uses them? When we call and they charge us for a call or whatever, can you get us that?
I believe this past month was about around 10,000. And before it was around 6,000 or 7,000.
Staff attorney time.
It depends on the activity, UP contract, part of it,
Right.
and then depends on the project, as with regard to the investigation.
And I believe that included the investigation as well, which was about 34,000.
Justin, when you were looking before, do you remember about what they were costing, or we just had some different firms, right? I don't think you had that.
I didn't have a
remember.
firm. It was just to go out for RFQs to see who would actually apply.
We're at a decent size. We got a lot of work going on, and we're anticipating more work. The staff attorney suits Kenedy. I mean, we're trying to get a city manager. We're trying to make the city a little bit better. I just think it's a little more efficient, a little more,
But is it just efficient right now, or is that long-term longevity actually going to be there 5-10 years from now to have a full-time city attorney?
Yeah,
It
I-
might be cheaper in the next couple of years, but if you look into a long-term employee, when you start including health insurance, benefits, and everything else, because it's going to definitely, and I don't know where I stand on this item, not yet, but you're looking at least a 6-figure salary to get someone decent. So you're going to be looking at $100,000 for a halfway decent, somebody that's been through the road, city attorney, or that's represented some type of municipality or local government. And then you're going to have to look at health insurance, which is an added fringe, and then all the other fringe that's going to go along with it. So you might be looking at someone that's going to cost like $135,000.
you're right. You're absolutely right.
What do we, can you tell us what we've spent this year on attorney fees?
Okay, give me a couple minutes. I can last topic it.
Okay.
And Adolfo, I gotta tell you, I'm serious when I tell you that. I told you that a little while back. You've been the best one we've had in a while. And it's nothing personal, it's business.
Well, I thought this law firm was great because it was, we had different attorneys. for
Oh, I did
different-
too. I said that.
different things.
I did.
So now we're not-
So why are we trying to get rid of them if they're doing such a great job?
Look, when's the last time you looked at a bill from them, Brandon? When did you look at a bill? You cannot get a bill out of them to save your life. Legislature cannot get a bill from their own attorneys. They did an investigation and didn't allow you to look at a single piece of paperwork, but they let the staff look at it. This is the client right here. Y'all are the clients. The employees are not the clients. Y'all are. But you can't see the paperwork. They want to put redact. They want to put markers through your lines. That's not right. It's not right at all.
I'm just saying, because I caught a few errors around here. I caught a Victoria. They're the only ones that had a permanent city attorney, and they even have an assistant, but that's a bigger city, way bigger city than us. Beeville has one. He's originally from out of town, but he doesn't do municipal court. Stays there in Beeville. They charge him, I think he charges them $37.73.52 a month. Cuero has Crane and Christopher across the category across the street, $3,500 a month. They don't get charged per hour, but any investigation that costs at his rate, whatever he decides it's going to be, depending on the scope of work. Floresville, they use the Silver Rodriguez firm, and they're from out of town. They're not from Floresville. They have an agreement, $165,000 a month, plus $225 an hour if something arises they have to investigate. Goliath uses an outside firm, Knight and Associate. There's a lot that use out-of-town firms due to the fact that they don't want any connection to the city. They have no ties, they don't know anybody, and they can do their work and do as clear as possible with their train of thought, everything. They don't have to worry about, they have to step on this person's toes, or, I've known this person, I hate to see this. Those kind of thoughts come into people's heads, and if we have someone from an outside firm that has no ties, like Dan Navarro, I mean, that's as fair as it gets.
all that, what you said, all of it's true, all of it's good and all of it's true. But it's still, at the end of the day, you're talking dollars and cents. You know, if we're spending $150,000, $170,000 a year for an attorney that we have access to, an attorney that's here once or twice a month, and we can have one that's in-house for less than that and here all the time, there's a whole lot more that's going to get caught and get corrected and done right before we're sitting at this table.
The question is, though, is there going to be that much work down the road for this attorney?
Well, think
Or
about
are we
this,
going to be just
getting,
throwing money away for somebody who's
getting
not
a new
doing
water
anything?
line, we're trying to grow the city, so we're bringing more water in, so we'll have more to be able to grow more businesses to come to Kenedy, because we're gonna have water to provide to these people now, the businesses that wanna come. So our city is gonna grow. You know, it is something that's gonna grow and be better, and, you know, maybe we do need somebody here from us. So down the road, yes, it looks like a long-term thing that we'll need an attorney here, which we're gonna have a lot going on in Kenedy
I just think
for a long time.
I think we really need to keep in consideration the biggest key factor in all of this. The reason Kenedy, Karnes County is growing tremendously is the Eagle Ford Shell.
Yes.
And it's
That's a big
something
reason
that's
why
not
we're
going to be here. You cannot guarantee that 10 years down the road.
Nope.
I mean,
We saw the big drop in 2015. They pulled the rug right out from under us and everything went straight
and
down.
that within itself is what made this community blow up. Yes, the private prisons helped some and have definitely contributed a lot of workforce to this community, but the biggest growing factor of what made this community boom is the Eagle Ford Shell. And I don't care what anybody says, statistically, if you look at it, an oil and gas boom is about 20 years, and we're about 11 years into it. And I'm not saying I want it to go away. I don't want it to go away. It's made us grow and prosper so much and be able to do so many different improvements and projects. But, I mean, you're talking about creating a position that most cities our size would never have a full-time staff in this position. We're fortunate that we can afford it currently, but that just really needs to be into the deciding factor of creating this position is the longevity of it, not just 5 years, but you know, the sustainability of the position.
Well, it's just like anything else in the state of Texas. It's an at-will state. So if we 5 years into this and see that, okay, we don't need this now, then we do away with it. I mean, it's no difference than having a firm that you say, you know, your rate's too high, we're gonna get somebody else. It's no difference. You know, we're talking like if we create this, we're locked into it forever. But that's not the case.
No, and like I brought the agenda item a few months ago, I want to make sure we're getting the best competitive rates.
Yeah.
But with that being said, you want to grow with an attorney. You want them. So if we switch and we get a brand new attorney, there's going to be a lot that they have to learn, regardless if we go and find a new law firm or if we hire a city attorney. They're going to have to do so much research to understand this Carrizo water project. They're going to have to do a lot of research to figure out what's going on with the sports complex, Escondido Creek, trying to just any contracts that push through this entity. So I mean that needs to be a consideration as well. And I mean, I think
that's one of the reasons that I'm not sure who said it, but because of all these projects that we were having, these water project, baseball, everything, and that's why your law firm was we needed you guys. I don't think
And are we gonna be working around the attorney for, say, an instance, they can't make it? We're gonna reschedule our council meeting for there?
We've got
Not
to
be here because right now we got them to come down.
We've got a staff attorney. That's part of their job. There's no such thing as they can't make it.
They're in the office. They're a staff attorney. That's what you get now, Brandon, exactly what you said you don't want. I mean, who knew Megan was leaving until she was gone?
But
Anybody?
they had someone to fill in right away. I mean,
Right, but if we hired Megan.
what if the
what gives
staff
it-
attorney,
just take them? I just don't get it.
what if the
That's
staff
second
attorney
time that
decides, you know what,
happens. Same
Kennedy's not what I want, you know, it's too much of a headache,
Hire
or
another-
they see everything we're doing. We're just gonna keep getting new ones in and out and
How much
just work
are we-
like that?
How much have we spent?
I did the last 3 years. 2017, the city spent $53,541 on attorneys. 2018, 120,000. 2019, as of 10/30, 75,342.
That's a month into it?
for 2019?
No, that's from
Not
January
increasing
1st
now.
to October 31st.
So probably going on right at 100,000.
100,000
What was 2018?
120.
It's not bad.
In 2019, 75.
17 was 53, then we went up to 120.
Now we're anticipating
Now we're just
probably
100.
Well, if you guys are okay with not,
I just don't. It's not like we're doubling the expenditure. If we had $200,000 worth of attorney fees, knowing that it's going to cost us $100,000 to $125,000 to bring on a full-time attorney, then I can understand where you're coming from. But she just read us the numbers. We're on track to seeing $100,000 this year in attorney fees. I feel very confident that a base salary, would you not say, a base salary for a halfway decent city attorney is probably going to be around $100,000?
Depends on what experience they have.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The more
Yeah.
experience, the dollar amount's still going to go up. I mean, I feel like,
We want somebody with some experience.
Yeah, that's, it'll be over.
yeah, easily.
Amanda, do we have a contract with Navarro at the moment? Do we pay him a year, or is it just as we need him a month?
For employees. So it's not an actual contract, it's an it's like an agreement with.
Well, it's a retaining.
okay, so what do you want to do?
I'll make a motion that we take no action on agenda item number 19.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? There's no other discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Con?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
Motion passes. No action on item 20.
I'll make a motion we take no action on agenda item number 20.
And I'll
Second.
second that.
Call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Con?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Perfect. 21, consideration and possible action to hire a full-time cost accountant to ensure checks and balances are timely and accurately maintained. Any movement?
I'll make a motion we consider agenda item number 21.
I'll second it.
How do we get these two numbers that we just talked about a while ago? You said you and somebody else is looking at one? Who, you and who?
Jennifer Sines,
Where are y'all getting those numbers from?
from Karen.
Okay, and you're looking at a different number? Where are you getting that number from?
I pulled the expense report from before I created all the bills and calculated it from there.
Okay.
I'm just not sure how they're looking at it, because, I mean, it does get confusing. I'm not sure how they were looking at it.
When was the last time that you're aware of that the guys in the field, that the departments had actually received their reports, their monthly reports? Do you know?
Just when they come asking for them.
Yeah, the guys don't even get their stuff that they need with what's going on right now. Sometimes the numbers are right, sometimes they're not right. You gotta ask, well, they're not here this week, they're not here that week. When are they here? I mean, we can't wait to get these numbers. These numbers should be maintained daily, every single day.
Anytime any department heads ask me for numbers, I print them for them right then and there.
Yeah, but are they accurate? Because if she's not here, and she hadn't been here, how is that number accurate?
Those numbers are reflected by the amount, by all the bills I pay. When she does it, she reconciles them with the bank statements, but that's based on all the numbers that I put in. All the invoices that I pay is what's taken out of their budget, and that shows their number.
Okay, so when does she show up to do all that work? Once a week, once a month,
She comes about 2 days a week,
about 2 days a week?
2 or
Okay.
3 days a week.
One of the main reasons I ask is I've looked at some of these things, and at different times they're negatives. And there's no way they're negatives, and they're off, and they're too far out of whack. And if somebody's maintaining those on a regular basis, I don't think they're gonna be out of whack. I think they're gonna be in line. They'll constantly be in line.
And the reason you may see some negatives is because when she does her reconciliations, I don't put in the revenue, she puts in revenue.
Right?
So if you see the negative, it's because she hasn't put in the revenue, because she hasn't received the bank statements for that month.
Got you. So she would put out an inaccurate statement to us then?
No, whenever you get your statement, that's because at the end of the month, she receives the statements that she consecutively.
Right, but if somebody would come here in the middle of the month, and I'd say, hey, let me have that statement, it's not gonna be right because she had input what she needs to put.
It's not gonna be right regardless, because you don't reconcile the bank part until the end of the month. So when you're operating, you have money in the bank,
Right,
but what she is entering is what we're putting out.
right,
And it's based off of the number that was put in at the beginning of the month.
right.
And if it goes below that, you don't have anything that shows anything else other than when the accountant comes in and does the
Right.
reconciliation.
Does it-
Now, that won't happen every day, even if you have a setting account.
Right,
That won't happen, that just happened at the end of each month.
Right.
right.
You see the statement?
Well, and there's never actually a live accurate number still with that. I mean, because you can
Right.
have expenses coming out in other fiscal years that just were late billing. I mean, you're never going to be 100% accurate.
We should be.
No, you'll never be
Yeah,
accurate.
that won't happen.
It won't happen.
If
It's-
you
big
figure out a
businesses
way to
don't
run a
have that.
business that way, you will be a
Well, you can't.
millionaire
You can't hold
tomorrow.
it. It can't be. It
Okay.
can't be September 29th, and you hold your vendor hostage, and you ordered something the day before, and say, "Well, my fiscal year ends September 30th. You better get me that invoicing. I'll get it processed right now, because when October 1 hits, I'm not going to pay you." That's not possible. So you're at the mercy of some of your vendors
Right.
who might bill in a week, like once a week, or whatever the case might be, or the processing might not go immediately as soon as you do it. It might be a purchase order that it's just not, that's
How
not
many-
possible.
Okay.
How many people look at the budget of the accountant, what's coming in and what's coming besides you and,
Me, Karen, he looks at it, and then with whatever, the financial statement that y'all get it, for the meeting.
so
And
who,
then the department heads are supposed to be looking at theirs as well.
right.
And if they ever have any questions, which I've had some department heads that be like, hey, I don't know what this number is. And so I can go in deeper, and I'm like, well, this was for this invoice and this for this invoice. And I've even have the girls pull it and then they'll go, okay, I remember now, or no, I want to discharge somewhere else. Well, okay, well, let's fix it and
Right.
we'll get it fixed.
And so who, when they bring in invoice to make the payment for whatever it is that they have, are you the only one that does those invoices, or does somebody else do it?
That pays the accounts payable.
Right.
Karen and I, Karen will do it if I'm not here, but 90% of the time I'm the one that does the bills.
You do the
Yes,
bills.
once a week.
So who's the city use for a cost accountant now?
Karen.
And with this item, are you looking for like an actual CPA or someone just with an accounting degree? Or
Yeah, I'd like somebody with an accounting degree. They can be readily there and stay on top of them. How many of you guys were interviewed by the auditors last week? You
I
were?
spoke to them.
Did they interview you?
No, I just spoke to them.
Anybody
Well,
else?
I'll speak to somebody.
Well, you know I don't put these things on the agenda for nothing, right?
Let me ask you
So-
another question. Sorry. I didn't mean to
No, I'm
interrupt you.
done.
Would it take some of the load off of you, because all the projects that are going on, there's a lot going on, and we all know that. Would that take some load off of you if we had one person doing the bills and doing the accounting part of it? Would that free you up with other things that maybe, like the minutes for the agendas, the minutes for our meetings, would that clear you up to have a little more time to do those things? Or does it not take up a lot of your time?
It
Tell me
takes-
how it,
Well, the bills, depending on how much, like this week, I think there was 40 bills, last week I had like 100 and something bills. Depends on how many bills, they'll usually take either half a day or the full day to do all the bills. I don't know because if our segregation, or what is it called,
the segregations of duties?
Yes, if the accountants, since they reconcile the bills, if they could do the bills.
Actually, that in the audit, if the auditors were here last week and if they found out that she was doing the bills and reconciling them, that you have to have a division.
They do know that she helps like on occasions, but to do it permanently, I don't think we're able to because of the segregation of duties.
Are you her direct supervisor or
City
city
manager.
manager? Do you feel like, she is being overworked and there needs to be more manpower put there? Or do you feel like the division of time that's being done is appropriate for what is needed by the city of Kenedy?
What I'm seeing right now, I don't think we're overworking anybody at this point. people are working to capacity on certain days, but I don't feel as a whole we're overworking our staff.
And then does she get benefits?
No.
And see, that's more that you're gonna add.
Right.
And probably someone with an
We need
accounting.
accurate rec, I mean, she's not sitting over here doing it all on her own.
No, when she's here, she's doing the reconciliation on her own. When she has questions, she asks the other girls, but she'll stay until the work is done.
So you feel right now that the system's working?
From what I've seen so far, yes.
And working alongside her, do you feel the same?
Any movement?
Realistically, it don't sound like we need an accountant right now. Not a permanent, full-time, we don't have enough work.
And if you need her to come in, like an extra day, she'll come in. Correct.
I usually, if I need her, I'll let her know in advance and say, I need, for example, like for our audits, I need you to be here this whole week, or you need to be here this, and she'll usually clear her schedule
Yeah.
or put it on her schedule so she can fill it.
Or can you get a hold of her pretty easily? If you have a question about something, you guys can get on the
Oh,
phone
yeah,
with her
just
and
call
talk
her
to
or
her.
text her.
And she answers you pretty quickly.
And she also has a laptop, so she can remote in anytime she needs to. When she's not here.
Y'all are okay with that? She can remotely access our records.
Yeah,
Yeah, but she's not a CPA.
anybody that you get to do your accounting has to have the
Yeah,
ability
but
to get
is she a
into your
CPA?
information.
I believe when Barbara said she was, whenever she had spoken with her. I'm not sure.
I don't think she is.
Mhm.
I think she has a bachelor's degree, but I don't think,
Okay.
because I remember talking to her last year at the Christmas party, and we were, I don't know, I don't think she is, but she might have a bachelor's in like accounting or business administration or something like that.
Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion that we take no action on item 21.
Second?
I'll second it.
If there's no other discussion, call roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Connor?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item 22, no action?
I'll make a motion, we take no action on agenda item 22.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Nope. Call roll, please.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Connor?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item 22, consideration and possible action to hiring process for City of Kennedy City Manager. Any movement?
Make a
I'll make,
motion to consider item 23 on the agenda.
I'll second it.
Second. Presentation? No?
Sure, I'll let you know where we're at. As of today, I believe we have 28 active applications that have come in. The schedule is to do some interviewing of those people the first part of December. Review them and then interview the ones that actually have qualifications that you're looking for. And then bring to council the first meeting in January, the top 2 to 3 candidates for y'all to interview and make some decisions about.
Is there no way we can look at those 28 that have applied?
Sure.
I'd like to take a look.
Yeah, because they're not, the application itself is not protected under the open records laws, to my understanding. If you want to look at those, you can look at those.
Yeah, I think Barbara gave us a binder
That's
last
how
year.
we're
Yeah.
gonna do that.
And the application process actually ends on Friday at 5 o'clock. So we'll have 100% of the applications at that point. We'll be happy to, make them available first part of next week.
If there's somebody in there that we think that maybe you should interview, would you consider interviewing them? If I brought you in and say, hey, take a look at this person a little closer?
Absolutely.
When y'all do that first knockdown from the 28 to maybe like the top 10, or
I think we'll get a few more, but yeah, to the top, maybe 10, and we'll look at it.
I'd like to see the top 10.
Sure.
Just in the first round. Just curious.
I don't think we've got any problem with y'all looking at all as we go along.
I know, but when we got 40, what was it, 41?
Oh, yeah, that was a lot.
That was 4-inch.
28, I think I'm good.
Well,
was a lot.
and we could pick up another 10 by the end of the week. A lot of times you'll see things, you get a flurry at the first and things will sort of go along, and you get a flurry right at the end. So
I'd like to take a look at it.
I haven't even looked at all 48 yet, and there wasn't any reason to start looking at them until we knew who we had. But we'll have binders for everybody to look at the top, how many ever there are, next week.
Would y'all prefer for me to scan them to you on iPads or a binder?
Oh, just scan them.
Have a binder, 2 scans.
You can scan mine to that.
Are you gonna put all the applicants in there, or just like the top ones?
No,
No, all of them.
all, this initial
You can
couple,
scan all
of
of them. That scan for me, that's my thing.
Is that what you guys are expecting? You wanna see the top 10?
I want to see all of them.
all of
You look at all of them, and if you have, make a list if you wanted, of your top 10. Pass that on up to Max and
And they will be the ones to work through them. and we
they'll be
send
going
them
through
out.
it. Now, there'll be some that I would guarantee you, obviously, are not gonna be the quality you want. I've already had a visit with one, and I think probably that one will not apply. Because he has 0 experience, and so.
So we want,
You probably don't even need to apply at this point.
So what are we looking for? Because I know that Max Westbrook, those guys forwarded everybody a sheet. Did everybody turn those sheets in?
I filled mine out.
I filled out mine.
We got
No, so how do we come up with those, what we're actually looking for? Do y'all know what we're looking for?
Well, there's no wrong answer. It was a personal preference, and so what
That's
that
so easy, it was just the kind of what we as an individual
Yeah.
are looking for in a person.
Right, I understand what we are looking for though.
Just for one recommendation, the more experience the city manager has, the less you need a city attorney. Because the more experienced city manager will know what to do in most cases.
And how
The ones that don't will call the city attorney.
And that's our
So the more experience the city attorney has, I mean, the city manager has, the less,
We'll need
the,
you.
the attorney's fees will go down.
is that your sales pitch?
It's just, keep that in mind.
Until you hit something like the water project, and then I don't care how experienced your city manager is, he's gonna have to have help for water project issues, things like these huge
So we have a
major
water attorney
expenditures.
But we don't want our clients to spend more on attorney's fees than necessary, so that's why I say that.
One of the things that I had
Who's the water
asked,
attorney? Ed.
Yeah,
one of the things that I had asked on my sheet, and I don't care that you guys know what I put on there, but one of the things that I said was, of course, somebody with lots of experience that had done this before, and it's somebody that wasn't from the area.
yeah.
And the reason I say that is because it's just a small town, I know everybody probably sitting here, they probably know me, I know these guys, and so I wanted somebody that didn't have that, oh, you owe me a favor kind of deal. That was the
Yeah.
biggest thing on mine, was it had to be somebody from out of town that didn't have those personal, that I owe you and you owe me kind of thing. I wanted somebody fresh, new eyes to look at this as, we're gonna make this city great.
Yeah,
I
We
want
all
somebody that has management experience. I don't want somebody that has not sat in that chair before. But that's a hot chair, and it don't get no cooler. It never gets any cooler. It only gets hotter.
We need to have somebody be up there that will be able to, if they need to let somebody go, that they're gonna do it, to stand by it, and we're done.
That's it.
We're not playing this game of coming back and forth and jumping through hoops. We're not doing that. That's kind of one of the biggest things that I had asked for.
There are a couple of things that you need to look for. Do they have an ICMA certification? Are they a certified city manager? Which means they've been through the schools, they've been through the work, they've done everything they need to do, and they've got experience. And I think probably the majority of the folks who have applied are not from the area. We got folks, I know, from as far as the Deep Valley, and folks who are farther north who are applying. Like I say, I haven't looked at all of them, I can't tell you, but I do know that we've got some very locations people are applying to. But we should, like I say, we'll have that book for y'all sometime next week. It'll be easy to get them all scanned. 2 books will print out. Y'all will have them, and we can look through those. We don't anticipate interviewing anybody until probably the 16th, 17th of December. So you've got time to look at it, give us suggestions and input on who you think would be the best. Folks we need to look at, we'll be happy to do that and look at those. And from those interviews in December, We'll bring you all the final list in January. You'll be looking at. As soon as y'all can get somebody in the seat, get him in the seat.
Good deal.
Okay. Motion.
I'll make a motion, we take no action on agenda item number 23.
Second.
I'll second it.
If there's no other discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Khan?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 24, consideration of possible action on City of Kennedy budget line item labeled as other capital outlay. He's not gonna have the presentation on that. I'm gonna have it. I need to know what the City of Kennedy's other capital outlay definition is. Because if we're labeling budget items, I need to know what that is, what the definition is, and I need to see this plan. Where is this capital outlay plan? Does anybody know that? No?
Amanda, are you familiar with that line item?
Yeah.
I saw it under sewer and water, but listed as fire department on the reports that I got today.
The other capital outlay, my understanding is that any kind of new merchandise or any capital purchases, like vehicles, any big purchases for that department, is my understanding.
No?
So is there, and I don't remember, is there a capital outlay line item just like in general? And
Yeah,
then-
it's on, one of them is
Yes.
on the fire department.
Okay, so then the one that was in the fire department, was that not the 150,000?
Yes.
And then 100,000 was supposed to be for the
Training center.
training center? Oh, really?
Whatever y'all know, whatever number y'all came up with.
I think it's 100.
Thank you.
100,000.
Yeah.
And the last budget, they used it for the truck
Right.
and for that trailer.
Where's the plan?
The plan.
Yeah.
Are you talking about like the breakdown that is included
Yes.
in the budget?
Yes. Where's a plan? Because capital outlay is totally different than any other expenditure. When you say capital outlay, those are specific things that we might want to look at. When we say we have $150,000 and then we just fly through that $150,000 and it says capital outlay, I want to know where's the capital outlay? Because capital outlay is different than vehicle. It's totally different. It's not a capital improvement. It is a capital improvement, but it's not a capital improvement to where you could buy vehicles and say it's a capital improvement. That's why it calls for a plan. I want to know where that plan is. Because in 2 weeks, Bruce Mills came in here and spent almost $200,000 under capital outlay. And I'm shocked. I mean, big time shocked. And no one up here is batted an eye about it.
What did we buy, James?
All kinds of stuff.
That was the stuff that we approved for them to
Right,
spend
if it's
for the
budgeted,
money.
if it's budgeted, not under other capital outlay.
I don't know where they had it at, but the money that they spent, the money that you're talking about he spent,
We said
was the
spend the money.
money that they had that was still surplus money that they had in their budget that they hadn't used.
Right.
That we told them they could use that money to buy the stuff that they needed to buy.
Right.
As the stuff that they had in their budget for the next year, we told them they could buy it this year and use that money up.
Right.
And I don't know where they pulled it from.
Right, and I don't have a problem with that, because the money is budgeted for that, but not capital outlay, not other capital outlay. And that's where the money came from. When that money was supposed to go for a building, is my understanding, a training center. And we spent over $150,000.
Well, that was discussed though, because I remember bringing it up, saying, well, wasn't that money budgeted for the training facility? And
So did you do an amendment?
But I
What's the
think we
amendment?
have ain't the training facility money in this year's budget?
Yes,
that's
Yeah,
why
that's why we did that, because it was.
I understand that. But why are we writing line items as other capital outlay and then spending them for different things?
Because the budget, my understanding, was already made out, and we didn't have that the agreement we're gonna be reviewing and approving hopefully here in the next few weeks. And so at that point, we couldn't redo the budget because we already had approved it.
We can always
Exactly.
amend the budget. I mean, they just asked you to amend the budget tonight. Why didn't we amend it? And then I guess my next question is the one that everybody's waiting for. Did we buy the $20,000 worth of radios, Brandon?
Well, yeah, that was part of the.
That's where that.
But as you remember, James, that's $20,000 is under 50,000, correct? So the council doesn't need approval
Yes,
for
they do.
50,000. For 50,000 or more, yes, but
No, sir.
20,000?
I
No,
thought
sir,
we
the
had
city-
agreed not to buy them.
They did. There's a standing.
That
order
was
says
in the
don't buy.
2018 budget.
Where'd that money come from? 2018.
It was
budget?
in there.
We have an ordinance and it's 12,
James,
1906.
You can argue this. Juan was there at the meeting. Why don't we ask Juan too? He's here. You're attacking the fire department.
Oh, no, I'm not attacking them. I'm
Yeah,
not
it sure
attacking
does
them.
seem like it.
There's an ordinance, it's 12-1906. And that ordinance says, any expenditure over $10,000 is to be by contract. Okay? Where's the contract for all this money that's been spent? Where are the individual contracts? They're not here. Yes, the state says 50,000. The city of Kenedy is more strict than that. They also have an ordinance, I can't cite the number, but all contracts go through city council, every single contract. So therefore, if they, and I told Bruce Mills this up front, and you know what he told me? He texted me and said, I'll go through the proper channels. I thought he got the proper channels with y'all. It's not right. There's a standing order from the city council that says we are not, we had to settle with that company, Brandon. Nobody in here knew you had 3 radios at home.
Look, James, look, the reason you're doing this right now is because last year at the time, you went ahead and you did all this to use it as some kind of political game when elections came up, and now you don't have anything, James.
Okay.
That's where we're at, James. Just and leave it alone already. We can go back and
Okay.
forth on this all the time, but
Okay.
if it makes you happy, go ahead. Keep bringing up the past because right now it's over.
Okay, let's please stay on the.
We're on topic. We're on topic, sir. But I'm just
Other
if you're gonna go
capital
off
outlay.
of it,
Other
we're gonna make a
capital
point
outlay.
and
What
settle this.
what is the definition of other capital outlay? Does anybody know? It's not radios.
Well, it could
Capital
be capital
improvements.
outlay, but multiple different items. So it would be an account that has 100,000. I'm looking at it right now. So that account has $100,000 in there. It might have 3 or 4 projects that are built up within that $100,000. So instead of having 3 or 4 line items that say radio project or firehouse renovation budget or whatever the case it might be,
Truck
it's all
improvements, stuff like
it's
that.
all clumped
No.
together in one line item. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but I think it would be a little bit more transparent if when that budget was presented, it was told to the council, and it probably was. I'm not, because I remember in this budget, when we discussed other capital outlay, $100,000, we said that that was going to Carn City to build the volunteer fire department emergency center, or whatever it's called.
The training center, yes,
The
sir.
training center. So we know what that line item is called, we know what it is for, so what's your question?
My question was, what is the definition of a other capital outlay
So-
on the line item?
Okay, so, Amanda and, Mr. Bratton, would you not say that that's a valid definition for that agenda item? Is other capital improvements that possibly cluster together depending on which department?
No, it's capital outlay that hasn't been delineated specifically in another place. So yeah, it could be multiple projects. In this case, it is the one project, which is to set aside the money for the training facility. And that was what I was told when I got here was that line item is for the training facility. And that's what I had to go.
Because of 100,000 is sold in the training center. In this budget.
Yeah, that's what it was for.
So,
And that's why they spent that other money, because we told them,
They had it in
you already
there.
have this money we've already, the 100,000 we budgeted for the next year, you've got money sitting here. Some of the things that you said that you have got in your 2019 budget, you can go ahead and spend that money in 2018 because you still have the money. It didn't make sense to put it back into the reserve when the next month, you're gonna turn right back around and need to pull it right back out to use. And that's what we told them to do. But I don't know what line item is it, what line item is it?
It's under other capital outlay. When we all learn the definition of it, we're gonna be surprised what it says.
Do you know the
Well, give us
definition?
the
What's the definition?
What is it?
It's unbelievable because I gotta argue with you about it. The money was never set aside for a bunch of radios. It was set aside for other capital outlay.
What's the definition?
What's the definition,
It's
James?
not radios.
What is the definition?
What is it? Because we didn't just buy radios.
Brandon,
We bought the trailer, we bought the truck, we got
Yeah.
equipment, we got
I know what you bought. Don't
gear,
don't know.
well, everything is.
I know what you bought. I know
Dude,
what you
I'm not
bought.
hiding what I bought, James. But what's the problem?
Because when you had the opportunity
It seems like
spend it on other.
okay.
capital
You want to go
outlay,
back in the
did.
time? Let's go back in the time. 2018. You were the tie-breaking vote when Leslie wasn't here.
Mhm.
So okay, that was a tie-breaking vote. But then remember, that's 2018. That's the old budget. We moved into a new budget, new fiscal year. So
That's the same budget you got that money from. I don't know what you're talking about.
no, that wasn't. That was, we're still in 18. We had now September is not a new budget yet. October brings the new budget.
That's
So
what
we're
you
still
said.
going off of that old 18 budget.
Uh-huh.
Or 17-18 budget, whatever it was.
I agree.
So at the time, yeah, okay, we didn't get it there, but we're in a new budget. This money needed to be spent. That's one of the important items that was there. Why do you keep attacking the fire department?
I'm not attacking.
It sounds like it.
Brandon, September 18th.
No, actually, it wasn't September
No,
18th.
September.
It was September 5th. I had the meeting on my birthday that
September 5th
year.
and September 11th. It was two different meetings.
Yeah.
Of 2018. Okay?
Okay, and what budget? Can you answer that? What budget is that?
2018.
2017, 2018 has no. So the new one hasn't been approved yet, correct? In October?
All right, I'm going to tell you how that you're going to. This is the only way you're going to learn it. Okay? You know how you're going to learn that you did wrong?
Look, James.
You're going to learn very soon, and probably when you get your findings from your auditor. That's probably when you're going to learn. And I hope
Didn't we just have an audit?
All right,
They
let's
haven't
get the
completed it.
agenda item
Well,
24, please.
You know what, James?
Okay.
If that's what you
What
want,
are we-
then you go
are we
ahead.
talking about other capital outlay?
Yes.
Yes.
Because we're
So,
spending money
you're
and it's
saying-
not on other capital outlay. If we're not gonna follow the budget like the law says, we need to get a shoebox. We need to put all the money in the shoebox and just take the money out and pay how we wanna pay. Because a budget is created for a reason. And an other capital outlay is something very specific.
Which is?
It doesn't mean you buy radios and microphones and say it's part of this project. You have to have a plan with it. There is a plan, and if you look it up, it calls for a plan. Because capital outlay, it could have routine repairs in there. And as long as it improves your real property or the value of the city, it's capital outlay, right?
So that was an improvement for the city?
Well, I'm not gonna
That's-
argue
that's
with you
low.
on it. Anyway.
We're on the subject, let's talk about it.
We're-
We're on the subject, let's talk about it. That's not an improvement to the city, everything the fire department ordered?
That's not what I'm saying.
That's not an improvement.
That's not
That
what
doesn't
I'm
help the
saying.
city out.
The
That doesn't
fire
help the
department-
city's ISO. That's not gonna help
Fire
anything else.
department- The fire department has line items on there. with X
Well,
amount
I
of
mean,
money
I want an
for-
explanation since you're on this.
All you have to do is look at the budget. It's self-explanatory. It had $750 for pagers. It doesn't matter to me if they got pagers, if they would've had.
Well, it shouldn't seem like it, James, because you brought this up.
I don't like
It's a
that.
touchy issue. I already moved on about that.
I'm
Like I
sure
told you,
have.
you used that as a political game for you to try to use against me in my election. It didn't work. We've already moved on.
Okay.
You put on stuff on Facebook, spending spree, and you put other stuff. I mean, grow up. Enough is enough.
Okay, so we're spending money. It says other capital outlay, not on other capital outlay.
Can you give me a definition of other capital outlay? Somebody give us a definition of it.
I think it depends how you use it. That's more of a financial term, so I don't have that answer. But it just depends how a city would use it.
Anyway, everyone's aware. Everyone is aware now, right? So is there any motion, no action?
I make a motion to take no action.
Second,
I'll second that.
any other discussion? No discussion, call roll.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn? Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
I don't know how to answer that question. I have no idea, because I don't know what just happened.
There's a lot of silliness going on.
What was your vote?
No vote.
Okay. What was his vote?
Yes.
So that's 4, okay, motion passes. Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
I'm sorry, Juan.
Ain't got nothing to do with Juan.
It's his department.
Ain't got nothing to do with Juan.
It's his department. Got a lot to do with that.
I know we told you. I know what we told you.
Good night.